Hello, a very good morning to you and welcome to Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis show on TV and radio. And I am Samson Ladia Yenini. I am your host. The Supreme Petition and matters arising. Number 1, concerns about commentary and calls for blacklisting of Asiedun Ketia and Kwejo Owusu Afriye. We examine the media's coverage so far. Number 2, concerns about delay. You know, the judges are not going to sit every day plus weekends. And there are new cross-examination modalities. 3, concerns about it affecting national commercial life, productivity, and governance. Now, number 2 of the issues that we'll be looking at, President John Mahama, 100 days in office. Loud and silent, turbulent 100 days in the animal farm. Why have the promised wheat and barley, milk and honey not flowed for all? That is the question on many lips, on the streets, as some score the manager poor and average. What is your verdict on John Mahama's 100 days in office? And if time permits, shall we fear any evil as we prepare a table for Ahmadinejad in the full glare of the whole world and his not too good friend Obama, who honored Ghana with his first trip to Africa? We'll be right back. I'll introduce my guest to you, and then we start the discussion. The show is brought to you by the candid sponsorship of MTN Everywhere You Go and Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Well, it's significant to the extent that it marks, if you like, close to a quarter of a government. So in the corporate world, something close, a timeline that is close to a quarter in itself ought to be reviewed. And so that is the first thing. It is much more important in this case when we've had the same person who has been president in the last, 10 months, and the vice president in the last 4.5 years. Maybe to the extent that a 100-day timeline may not be necessary with him because it's a running government, if you like. But for the purposes of, trying to ensure that you are meeting timelines and schedules, we like to use the 100-day as a yardstick to determine how much work has been done. To be fair, the new appointment that were made, the initial 4 appointments, the kitchen cabinet, I call them, signaled that the presidency was serious, that wanted to professionalize the presidency, professionalize the cabinet and probably the cabinet decisions to the extent that you want to synchronize the functions of the various cabinet members for a common goal. But the subsequent challenges that came up and the way it's been handled, especially the egregious issues around corruption, some of the things we are hearing now appear to show that there's a certain sense of urgency that we are lacking when it comes to the way we are using our national resource. And this didn't start within the 100 days. Probably it's been accentuated as a result of the previous actions or inactions. What should have been done or what should be done, it's an open assessment, an open confession that, look, we had challenges, we brought it upon ourselves, you've got to bear with us. I suspect that has begun, but we need more of that and have a real discussion about how much work government should do as against what the private sector can also do. Because this whole idea of looking up to the government for everything seems to be very much something that seems to be archaic, really. And I think we need to stop and pause and think, reflect as to how much work we want government to do as against what could be done in the private sector. Having said that, all this talk about SADA and confirmed business and all of that, I think it's an explanation, it's an indication that if you centralize development, you get these kinds of things because you can't control everything all the time. So it is important that going forward, the presidency ought to look at deconcentration of power, essentially decentralizing some of the power, leaving some of the power in the hands of district assemblies, and then crucially giving them the opportunity to fundraise and use some of the funding or the funds at the district level to develop. That way you would have achieved social and political inclusiveness rather than this cosmetic way of achieving inclusiveness. Because of the nature of our politics, because of the nature of the policy environments within which we find ourselves, because there's so much illogicality and so much dysfunction, you tend to see that the initial 100 days are usually turbulent. But this one seems to be particularly unique in the sense that the cyclical nature of our problem seems to have birthed right from the beginning, to the extent that the country is broke, but also goes to the issue that did we know or we didn't know 3 months or 100 days before we knew that the country would be broke as a result of certain interventions we made. So it is particularly unique to make the point that how well you begin would define how you go. But having said that, by the way, given all these obvious problems or challenges, the end or the middle to the end would also signify exactly how well you're able to see these challenges as opportunities and then you build upon them.
All I'm asking the witness is simple. From these documents, can you confirm whether you have repeated polling stations? From this document,
there are 2 pink sheets, the same pink sheets with different exhibit numbers. Absolutely. From what I understand.
Absolutely.
And that is the case. There are 2 pink sheets with different exhibit numbers. But I am very sure that it is not going to be the case that we would have used the 2 pink sheets for the same, in this analysis that we've done. They are very separated.
Have you noticed, Dr. Baumia,
yes,
that almost invariably the sheets have different colors? You have?
I have noticed.
Yeah, okay.
My lords, one of these sheets has an exhibit number that was generated electronically. And the other sheet has an exhibit number which was manual. I think at some point we had moved away from the manual to the electronic to avoid error. So I think some of these sheets which were done manually were actually delivered along with the same sheets which were done electronically. But on the CD-ROMs you would see the electronic numbering, and it is those ones that it's just one. So they may be duplicate, but it's just one that enters the analysis. But since you are not getting that from the electronic version, it is very clear that you are making my point for me that in fact it was only categorized once.
Doctor, I'm suggesting to you that you deliberately used one pink sheet to increase numbers for purposes of deceiving this court. That's what I'm suggesting to you.
I'm suggesting to you that that is not true. In our examination of the pink sheets, we found that we could not locate from the list of 26,002 polling stations, 23 pink sheets that we had. The codes did not match.
I think the mention of 23, I think is clearly wrong and should not be admissible. Because, in fact, when the petitioners were ordered to provide particulars of the affected polling stations, they managed to provide only 22. My understanding, therefore, and in fact the court ordered that they should restrict the evidence to 22 polling stations.
In the pleadings, it was alleged that there were 28 such non-existent polling stations. But in the sitting we had on the 2nd of April, Mr. Addison admitted that they could only put forward 22, and that was recorded, and our request for further and better particulars was taken to have lapsed as regards the shortfall of 6, and this is on record, my lord.
It was counsel for the petitioners who said in open court that he was going to abide by the number of polling stations in respect of which further and better particulars had been provided. Now, if there is going to be evidence given about more than that, then we would respectfully require that further and better particulars should be provided in respect of whatever additional.
My lord, the original allegation of the petitioners were that there were 28 locations. Upon the order that we provide further and better particulars, we provided particulars in respect of 23. My lord, I said so because there was one volume in which there were 22 locations.
Yes, and the court order was actually based upon what you admitted.
My lord, but we have supplied information for the 23. It was also with them. We had supplied information on the 23.
You should have been sure that you have supplied the information on 23 instead of the 22 that you admitted. So you can't go back on your word.
Well, my lord, we will not belabor it, except that the 23 is also with them. We have provided evidence for 23, but we will not belabor it. If it's 22, we will go on with 22.
Yes, and then we move on.
You're welcome back. Thank you very much for keeping your dials here. Joy 99.7 FM on radio, and this is your Joy News channel on Multi TV. You're listening to us on over a dozen of affiliate stations across the country. You're listening in Kumasi and its environs on Love 99.5 FM. We are on line at myjoyonline.com and Multi TV World/streams. Your text messages, your questions and comments. Comments that are based on the topics that we are discussing and based on the substance of the topics. They're welcome. That is, if you really want me to read them. 1422, 1422. If you play to the gallery with them, I will trash them. I mean it. And then you can also send me a mail to Newsfile at myjoyonline.com. My guests are seated. Abdul Malik Kubako Jr. He is the finest street pocket lawyer in town. He's joining 3 other lawyers on the show today. Abdul Malik Kubako Jr., Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Senior, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you. The Honorable Inus Afuseni is a lawyer and he is the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Abraham Amaliba is a member of the NDC's legal team that is currently battling the petitioners in the Supreme Petition before the Supreme Court. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Also, Gabi Asari Ochre Dako is a lawyer and he is the Executive Director of the Dankwa Institute. Good morning, Gabi, and welcome to the show. Great to have you as always. All right, so like I announced, your text messages are welcome 1422, and also you can send a mail to newsfile at myjoyonline.com. I am Samson Ladia Yenini, and we are discussing first the Supreme Petition and matters arising. You know that the matter has opened officially, trial has begun. There's been examination in chief. Dr. Baumia mounted the witness box and laid out his case in the best way that he could. Also, cross-examination started with counsel for the first respondent, that is the President, John Dramani Mahama. Tony later started his cross-examination on the pink sheets. All right. We want to start the discussion. We're doing a 3 kind of prong approach to it. Concerns about commentary and calls for the blacklisting of Asiedu Nketia and Kwadwo Owusu-Afriyie, both general secretaries of the NPP and the NDC. We want to examine the media's coverage so far. It looks like now that we've got love, what are we doing with it? And concerns also about delay or fears about possible delay. People have raised questions about the cross-examination style of Tony Litter and suggest that it could drag the matter. And also the judges, by CI 74, which is the law or the rule that regulates the election petition, they are supposed to sit every day, including weekends, and even, the court registry is supposed to open on holidays as well. Well, as we know, they will sit, and then Friday will be dedicated to other matters before the Supreme Court. But obviously, as you know, today is a Saturday, they are not sitting. Will that also occasion some delay? And plus that, we have a new cross-examination modalities that have been put out. We'll look at that one as well. And then the third leg of it concerns about the whole exercise, the broadcast of the whole exercise affecting national commercial life, productivity, and governance. Start with Abdul Malik Kweku Bako Jr. We want to look at how the media has taken advantage of the live broadcast and the coverage, and then tie that one in with the Ghana Journalists Association's release or concern asking for a blacklisting of Sir John and General Mosquito.
Well, with regards to the media coverage, I think I would draw a line, 2 lines, the live broadcast and telecast as distinct from subsequent media reportage and analysis of the issue. The live one, there isn't that much of a problem with it, except the first day when we thought there were a few technical issues, but I think that was to be expected. The directive to allow that to happen itself came a bit late in the day. So one can grant the primary source, in this case the national broadcaster, I think the benefit of the doubt. Subsequently, I think there's been an improvement in terms of the audio and other things. And I'm told they are going by certain protocols and guidelines. So I think it's fair in terms of the live. And it's its significance that for me endears my heart, because I think on this very show we had some interesting discussions and perspectives on it. And some of us thought that it would promote transparency and also help to cure the mischief of misrepresentation and distortions. To a large extent, I think that is happening, to the extent that those who have come out from the proceedings to misrepresent or to paint different pictures are easily seen for what they are. So I think I'm very happy that for the first time in our judicial history, we're having this situation. Others have called for international coverage as well. I think that it's simple. If BBC, CNN and the rest want to come in, they only have to deal with the broadcaster, the national broadcaster. They don't need any court order or ruling to be able to get involved. So that's a separate matter. But whatever it is, its value is huge for our democracy and for this particular case, which is of critical significance to Ghana's destiny generally. Now come down to the other aspect. Yes, I've been monitoring. There are times right after the proceedings that some of these things, particularly the national broadcaster, begins it. And I realize that other journalists available then quickly feed onto it. They interview, first and foremost, the lawyers involved in the situation. And to a large extent, I think the legal spokespersons, even when sometimes drops of innuendo here and there, I think that's to be expected sometimes. But they still deal with the issues the way it's occurred in the court. And that's fair. One can live with that. But subsequent to that, then they bring in others, non-legal brains and personalities, particularly political elements. And if one has to be very blunt, we have discussed the point about the 2 general secretaries. One of them is a lawyer, of course, but when he comes in, and I have to be honest, he's my friend, but I have to be very blunt about this. It is not law that I hear him speak. I hear him speak more politics than law relative to the issues that might have happened, and sometimes very judgmental.
You're referring to Kojo.
Yes, very judgmental commentaries, accusatory tone, and all the rest at such a premature stage. And then the other general secretary also comes in with his own things. You know, he's far from reality, and if that's what the cure that the live broadcast and telecast is curing. Okay, and that is why I'm so happy with it. So, to that extent, there's a certain level of distortion, deliberate misrepresentation by the political elements. I would forgive serial callers. I would forgive in those who are on the net, Facebook and the rest, all sorts of judgment. Even while the program, the proceedings are ongoing, there are people who are already jumping to conclusions. It could be due to inexperience and, ignorance, or both. You know, so to be honest, it's too early in the day. I am not a lawyer, as you said. I admit that. I don't have the competence to interrogate the issues in a very solid legal manner. I try as much as possible to listen to lawyers and also to make a contribution. But it is too early in the day for anybody to jump to any conclusions. It's too early. Nothing really has happened, you know. So that's the way I see it. The media, apart from the fact that we are a mirror and that we also are a transmission belt, I think we also are gatekeepers at the same time. We have the right to exercise a certain level of discretion relative to the importance of this matter and its implications for national stability, security, and democratic consolidation. And sometimes sieve, through what is being put out there. It's difficult with live things, when it's live broadcast and things, but it's not difficult with when you are seeking somebody to talk to. I'm not too sure why we decide to consistently interview the 2 general secretaries after we have spoken to the legal spokespersons on the immediate aftermath of the proceedings. I don't know what we seek to gain. Perhaps the sound bites are good for, radio and TV and sometimes even the print media. The things they say and how they say it. Some native intelligence is brought to bear on some of the issues. Some propaganda spinning is also brought to bear. Sometimes some people enjoy that, but it's serious business. So I am unable really to behave like an ostrich and deny the fact that the 2 general secretaries, I think, have been bad news for this process so far. It's a candid opinion. I would not revise my position on that.
Thank you very much, Abdul Malik Kubako Jr. Let me take Honorable Unis of Husseino's take on the media's coverage and the commentary that comes afterwards and the concerns that are being raised about that.
Thank you, Nadi. For me, this is a new terrain that we are traversing. This is a constitutional matter to determine the validity of the election of the president. That's never occurred in this country. And so many things will come up. Even right from the beginning, there were those who were advocating that this ought to be the way. I understood it to mean that because the matter involves the whole of Ghana, and taking it from the election point of view, Ghana, for the purposes of electing the president, is one constituency. So all the constituents will be interested in knowing what is happening in court. After all, they exercise their vote in respect of one candidate or the other in the presidential election. And so, taking it from that point of view, I think that the decision of the court to allow for coverage, TV coverage, was
Reluctantly
allow, because the courts are quite aware of the misinformation that go with making court hearings public to that extent. The court is quite aware. That is why even in normal civil criminal cases, the court does not normally allow reporters to get in. Because each reporter, each person watching has his own prejudices, has his own idiosyncrasies, will interpret what is happening in a different way. And that is how human beings interpret. Even the lawyers in court interpret issues differently. And except that we lawyers have the exclusive preserve to interpret issues the way we say it in court. Now, so the live broadcast of the proceedings in court is good. It adds to the consolidation of our democracy. It puts whatever is happening in court on the foundation of transparency. And everybody who wants to watch is allowed to do so. So for me, just like my brother Abdul Malik said, the live broadcast simplicity is no problem to me. It is the proceedings in court are taken, are being done in English. The difficulty I have is the translation of what happens in court into the local languages. On the second day of the hearing, I was on my way to Dentra. And when I landed, I was in the car and I was listening to the proceedings on radio. My brother, many things happened. Many things. Those doing the interpretation were conducting their own case. And that is the danger. That is because trials in court, and especially election petitions, are very, very technical. Very, very technical. Some of the issues, you can't just explain them away with substituting local words for them because they have jurisprudential implications.
But strictly speaking, this case, first of all, is about auditing of numbers, first of all, before you bring in the law, isn't it?
Oh, auditing of numbers within the context of the law. Is that process? Is it the process that it has to take? The words used, are they given their ordinary meaning? Do the interpretation? Does the interpretation also take its ordinary meaning? Does it admit of any variation? Will a variation lead to absurdity? Even in interpretation, and mind you.
Okay, so you need to do this. Yeah. What you are doing right now is going into the interpretation class. And our listeners ought to follow, viewers ought to follow what we are doing.
Yes.
So as much as possible, like you say, you have, I'm not too sure, exclusive preserve to be able to interpret the laws in the manner that you like. Let's be sure that the people who are listening and watching can follow what we do.
In court, when I say exclusive preserve, in court, two lawyers looking at the same law will have to persuade the judges to interpret the law according to the way they say it. So that's why I say we have the exclusive preserve.
Okay.
Because we go to the court to try to persuade them that this is an interpretation of the law that accords with justice, that accords with reason, and that will not lead to absurdity. That's what I mean.
You have also acknowledged the difficulty in people trying to translate. Take that together with the call for the blacklisting of your party general secretary and that of the NPP.
Well, and on that score, I will disagree with my brother Okubako. These are theatrics.
It's a GJ that is calling for the ban.
No.
And also, IDEC, I'm sure, has come very straight on this.
No, you see, you are trying to assume that people who interpret what they see in court do it with a certain level of mischief. Even assuming but not admitting that there's mischief in the interpretation, leave it to the Ghanaians out there to judge. Indeed, Ghanaians are reasonably capable of knowing whether or not the interpretation put on a matter in court accords with reason or not. And so, since we've taken this path of allowing live broadcasts of the proceedings in court, I don't think we need to put fetters on the right of people who want to interpret what is happening in court. Indeed, some might even not be interested in the evidence in chief of the cross-examination of the second petitioner, or the manner in which the counsel for the first respondent went about his business, but just the demeanor, the demeanor of the witnesses. Even might not be concerned with the demeanor of the witness, might be interested, his report might be interested in the countenance of the people who were the audience, the people who were in court to witness. So reports take different forms.
Thank you, Mr.
And I think that they should be allowed.
We'll get into that aspect of the cross-examination and the new modalities that have come out for it. Gabi, you have the benefit of, being the editor of a newspaper and having done this job for a long time, and also the privilege of having the training as a lawyer. When you look at the coverage, and especially also from the print media, how do you appreciate it? How do you like it?
Well, I think obviously, the headline in the Statesman will certainly not be the same as the headline in. I'm trying to find a paper on the left with a similar credibility. That's been very difficult.
For example, Baumia runs away.
Yeah, you won't find that in the Statesman. It's like Baumia stands firm, because that will be a true reflection of what Baumia did. So you would have the headline slant. So I think those things are allowed, so long as the headline you are allowed to play with it a bit, but so long as it doesn't say Baumia cries when he was obviously smiling. Even that, it depends on how you say it. But the story itself is what is important.
But there are reports that say, for example, that Baumia crumbles under cross-examination.
I think, to me, that's allowed.
It's allowed?
Particularly when you know where the paper is coming from. Let's not behave as if we don't know the terrain. If you see that maybe on the front page of the graphic, then you begin to think what's going on. But if you see it in the lens, in the palaver, in the Enquirer, it's nothing strange. If I see it on the front page of the Crusading Guide, I may be a little worried, So I think those things are allowed. But it's because of all these things. That's why some of us called for live broadcast. Because, even this issue about Sir John and General Mosquito, it has come to the fore because now we can all hear and see what's happening in court. I remember after April 2nd, General Mosquito came and said, court now Bobby Biagu. There's also no mammy pet. And you were not there. So, and it seems convincing because at the end of the day, it was reduced to two issues. But he said all that they were asking for court now Bodinagu. So, and it's now that people are seeing that, look, not all the things, the spin that has been put on it is a true reflection. And most of it is nowhere near what is happening in court.
And I ask you that question because some are saying that the media is beginning to be exposed, because it has some weaknesses, some challenge, because you do not have people who have specialization and all of that to be able to help and to veer away from what is potentially contemptuous of the court to come and place value judgment on the testimonies.
What we are doing now is helping. It's helping the media to be a bit more conscious of what they're doing. Hopefully it will help the general secretaries to also be careful what they say. But I think, yes, I've heard Sir John. Yes, I've heard General Mosquito. And we all know that they have a style. And they have their audience. But, the difference between General Mosquito and Sir John is that General Mosquito is actually an established part of how the NDC, or if you like John Mahama and the NDC, the respondents, when they come out, what they tell the public. Sir John, unless the media call him, it's not as if, when after sittings, what you see is that Gloria will come, sometimes supported by Yabua Biasamoa. So that is the established way of getting the media to hear what has happened with the petitioners. But with the respondents, particularly, I'm talking about John Mahama, first and third respondent, and NDC, you will have Nana Todazi. Immediately he's done. Before, even now, cameras can see. In the courtroom, they sit down and plan what to say. When they come out, he gives, the legal, if like, gravitas to whatever that happens in court with that spin, the NDC spin. But, tries to be a little bit objective. And then General Mosquito will take it to the venom land. Is it? No, malaria land or whatever you want to call it. You know, he takes it way out. You know, I mean, I heard him yesterday saying that Dr. Bawumia swore an oath and then, as you know, on the Quran, and as a Muslim, he lied. And I'm thinking, why do you have to even go there? You know, we've gotten nowhere. And it's important that
It brings the question again back to the media. Somebody gave him the microphone to be able to say so. If he has perjured, then that is another issue.
But you see, these are general secretaries of the two main parties involved in this case. You can't, you know, it wasn't because you had nothing to do with them being chosen as general secretaries. You know, in any event, Sir John is a lawyer. You know, in an event, General Mosquito is a very established politician, MP twice, I believe, if not twice at least. You know, so they know what they're doing. Let's talk about it. And the more we talk about it, the more we expose them. You know, the less credibility they get, unless they change their way. And like I said, you know, Sir John, I think the difference is that Sir John is not part of if you like, the established PR of what happens in court. But General
should they be blacklisted?
I don't think they should be blacklisted. I don't believe so. I really think they should be allowed to speak. But I think that we should continue to expose not just them, anybody who says something that is not right. And it's up to their own credibility and their party's credibility. Right. If they go out of the way, but I don't think they should be blacklisted. I don't believe in censorship.
All right. Abraham, you know that Johnson Asiedun Ketia is the man who has sworn your lead affidavit on his own behalf, on behalf of John Mahama, on behalf of the NDC. He will be in the witness box. He will be led in evidence. He will be cross-examined. Do you advise him to continue on this path?
Let me start by saying that it is important to acknowledge that this matter has both legal and political legs. So legally, you will be thinking about the lawyers who would look at it in the with their legal eyes.
That sounds like a paraphrase of Gabi's first text message on this matter.
Is that so? Is that so? Is that so?
You say the case has both legal and political legs.
Yes.
So I was just saying.
Yes. I didn't hear him say that. I didn't hear him say that.
Propaganda spinner.
Okay. I didn't hear that.
All right, go on.
But you see, and so when you look at it from that angle, you will be able to draw a distinction between the spokespersons for the legal team and those whom we are now complaining about, General Mosquito and Sir John. Clearly, Sir John and General Mosquito would want to give hope to their followers. And so they would approach the discussions that took place in court in a manner that would give hope to their supporters. That is not to say that they are deliberately, spinning, but just that you need. No, they are not deliberately spinning. No, not deliberate.
You don't have to spin with lies.
But just that they need to give hope to their supporters. I think that what is the essence of this live coverage? For me, I thought it was to cut off all these things, because then the ordinary Ghanaian would have seen what transpired in court, and there will not be the need for anybody to interpret or, as it were, provide some answers to what happened in court. And so, for instance, on the first day when the media house called me, I said, oh, but everything is on. You all saw it. That still they want my view on it. So clearly, the media should also be held responsible for some of these things. You provide a platform. Indeed, I saw, at the last agenda, I saw something. I won't mention which of the general secretaries, but I saw a general secretary who was declined interview by a media house, but got a much bigger platform from another conglomerate of media houses. So you see, he lost the opportunity there, but got a bigger platform. And so it boils down to those who provide a platform. If we are today complaining We are complaining because we have given them a platform and they have propagated that news, which we think is injurious to the matter in court. But it is important to state that this matter in court is
if you can deal with the direct question I put to you. Johnson Esiedun Ketia is your client. You are part of the legal team of the NDC. Is it your advice to him that because he has sworn an affidavit that he will get into the witness box, he will be led, he will be cross-examined, that it's okay for him to continue with the commentary?
What is Johnson Esiedun Ketia engaging? Is he engaged in discussing the merits of the case?
Absolutely.
If he is not
absolutely
involved in discussing the merits of the case, I don't see why he should be left out.
He should be listening to your client more.
What Esiedun does is, after the court sitting, he explains to the supporters what transpired. That cannot be entering into the merits of the case. Now, if the television broadcast is supposed to enlighten the people, is supposed to give the people the opportunity to see what happens in court, Esiedun Ketia is one person who has knowledge of all the matters. For instance, he has led the party in IPAC meetings. He is the one who has sworn to the affidavit. And so if we need somebody who is better placed and positioned to do what the TV is doing, which is what? Telling the people what the truth is in court, then there's no need to guard him, because he's also better placed and sees with the facts to do so. But in doing so...
Bawumia is the man who led all of the investigations and, also swore the affidavit. You've never heard him speak anywhere. You don't think that's the best
rule of
approach?
Thumb that says that if you want to speak to the media, you shouldn't speak. It is his choice as Bawumia. And indeed, there are some of us who are in the legal team who do not want to speak to the media. Some of us want to speak to. It's our choice. And so, don't compare the two. I think that the two general secretaries are hearing what the public outcry is. For me, Sir John, as a lawyer, should once in a while put on his legal cap and know that there are some areas that you can't traverse. General Mosquito can be forgiven because probably he has no training in the law. But Koku Bako just indicated that
he's inexperienced.
That clearly that aspect of him as a lawyer normally does not play out. And so he's consumed in his political utterances. But if he allows his lawyering aspect to at least come up a bit, he will be circumspect in the way he talks. The last agenda, I heard him say that very soon the Supreme Court is going to remove John Mahama as if he's a piece of stick, a firewood that is in fire they want to remove out. And then at the end of the day, they will replace...
he didn't say it well. He was asked a question. He was asked a question.
No.
What is the CD rationalizing it? He was asked what's the CD
There's no need rationalizing it.
At the end of the day, John Mahama
the point is that,
I see.
The point is that, Samson, such comments are prejudicial. But I think that the bottom line is, if the Supreme Court feels that, and in its opinion, feels that these comments that are being turned out are prejudicial to it, I know the Supreme Court will make mention of it and will give directives as to how to go about it.
All right, thank you very much. I had Abdul Malik, his hand was up.
I'm wondering, I'm not a lawyer, I may be educated on this matter, whether the Supreme Court, so motu, is that how you say it? On its own could proceed to deal with people who are out there talking without anybody drawing their attention to it in the court.
They might call them to mention.
They can.
I just want to do that. But is it a typical example of that Esiedun Ketia thing? And I'm not going to do selectivity here. Both of them, in my eye, are guilty of the things that we are discussing. We should be very blunt about that. But a quick one on the Esiedun Ketia thing, and you can educate me. The reluctant adjournment, what was it based on? The proceedings that we all watched. it arose out of the point that certain the EC had not filed its affidavit, even though it wasn't out of time. The NDC's affidavits had come but had not reached the
petitioners.
So, yeah, but I think that was one of the aspects. The court then looked at all these things and pronounced a judgment,
and
a
it
ruling.
said, in the interest of justice.
Thank you. Now, the General Secretary of the NDC came out, and this is what he said, that the MPP, the petitioners, had proven that they were not ready to deal with the matter. And I quote, they were behaving like some JSS peoples who are not ready to write examination, and they want to get the answers before they get their question. Now, we all knew that the affidavit thing had become the mode of the trial, and that was a requirement. And so if you think the justices didn't see the value of that, they would have engaged, ended up with a
how different is this from Nana Tudazi also granting interviews and seeing that the petitioners don't appear to be ready?
I've told you that even the lawyers, I told you that even the lawyers, the legal spokesperson, sometimes there's the hint of innuendos and insinuations. I've told you that. It happens. But they even have a cleaner way of doing it. So it doesn't arouse sentiments and emotions.
Okay.
You have two general secretaries who are doing nothing but politics with the matter. Okay. And indeed, ugly politics.
So thank you very much.
Let's be blunt.
2 minutes.
My last point. See, it is not their right to speech that we are questioning. It is the content of the speech that they are putting out there.
Thank you very much.
The content is dealt with by law.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
So you cannot guard the content.
But I haven't advocated that. I have said one can expose them, criticize them, and unmax them. That's what we are doing.
Yeah. But first of all, I want to just put in a small difference between General Secretary Asedun Katia and General Secretary Sir John. General Secretary Asedun Katia is a party to this country.
That's why you should even exercise more responsibility.
No, there is no law or practice that prevents a party in the matter of speaking about this matter.
Please, who has said prevent?
So nobody
has said so.
Do that. You cannot.
Please allow him to make his point.
Please, I know that you are saying that we are going to discuss an election petition is a novel matter here, but in practice, in law, there is no practice anywhere or convention that says that a party to a matter who believes in his cause cannot speak about it.
Who has said that?
Is it because? What's the point? Is it because in principle? Is it because
one don't tell you what is happening?
Is it
the problem we have?
Is it because in principle the court is blind to whatever happens outside that courtroom?
In principle, if you are a party and you make comments that are prejudicial to the action in court, the court so motu can call you and deal with you. So, but the court will not say, what are you talking about? The constitutional fundamental rights of the person. So please, the DJA, or what is it? GJA or IDEC or IPAC have no business whatsoever in calling on people.
But GJ are the last people to be calling for people not to speak.
Not to speak.
They are the last people to say that.
Why do you say that?
They should be telling journalists on how you can't tell them. To me, that principle, if that's what they said, that is absolutely wrong.
GJ has not imposed. They have not imposed a blacklist on the two general secretaries. They have issued an advice to their members to ensure they exercise the appropriate discretion and talk to the right people who can talk to the issue.
Before
and
the
that's within our right.
Elections.
Listen,
before the 2000 elections, GJA issued an edict.
Before the what election?
The 2008 elections. And even the 2012, but I'm talking in specific reference to the 2008 elections.
Yes.
A conference was held with the Ghana Journalists Association. They signed a memorandum of understanding not to give a platform to anybody who used insulting language. They never were able to enforce it on their members.
I see.
Well, that doesn't stop them from issuing the same advice. I don't get it.
This is Bulletin Fullman.
I see.
If the advice is not to blacklist, then it's fine.
If you can break it down.
It means an order that cannot be enforced or is useless. It's a useless order.
So
Gabi, I wanted you to briefly look at this. Earlier we had been told, I think, by the GBA and also IDEC that they were going to constitute a team of lawyers to help who are seen to be neutral, to help in the process as far as education on this matter is concerned. It appears nothing like that has happened. Is that also not risky in the process, because the journalists are looking for lawyers to talk, and they need to get them to talk.
I think the important thing is that we need to prepare Ghanaians to understand and appreciate the processes, and also to accept the results. And this is all part of it. I think the live coverage is a key part of it. The criticisms against, the general secretaries is also part of it.
But their role will not help that cause.
Absolutely. I'm just saying. So it's important that if people are making comments that are not helping the cause of getting people to follow what's going on and also accept the decision of the court, we should point it out. And also, I said on your program the other day, I think the GBA gave a promise and we expect them to follow it up. I heard Sir John, was it yesterday? He was being asked what was a CD-ROM, and his definition was that at the end of the day, John Mahama will step down and Akufo-Addo will be declared president.
You mean CD-ROM?
All right.
CD-ROM.
CD-ROM.
Okay. All right, very interesting there. Very interesting there. But you see, there's also the school of thought that is actually doesn't see any big deal about this issue about getting into contempt about matters pending before the courts, because as far as they are concerned, what's the big deal anyway? The parties, before they go to court, or once they announce that they are going to court, we know that they're already saying, I am the winner. This one says, I am the winner. So what's the big deal if they repeat same to us? But I think that it is not the best to be commenting on the substance of the testimonies and make judgments on them, as it were, of their relevance and their probative value, as we talk about in law. Now, we'll take a quick break at this point. We'll return to look at concerns about possible delay of the process and the new regulations that have been issued in respect of cross-examination. We'll talk about that, and we'll also look at the concerns about the whole exercise being broadcast affecting national commercial life, productivity, and governance. And you will find that in the way that we have here at Joy FM have looked at the issues, we are staying clear or steering clear of the substance of the testimonies before the court. We'll be right back. This is Newsfile. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile on your multi-TV. This is Joy News channel, and also we are on radio, Joy 99.7, Love 99.5, and over a dozen affiliates across the country. We are on the internet also on myjoyonline.com and multi-TV world /streams. And this show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN, everywhere you go, and also by ASN Properties. It is the only property developer that hands you keys to your home after paying just 10% of the value of the property. The rest of the payment is spread over a 20-year period. You can locate ASN Ghana Properties at Medina, Firestone, opposite the Agrimat building, or call them on telephone numbers 050-978-3745 or 050-978-3746, or visit their website www.asnghanaproperties.com. Thank you very much. Their terms and conditions apply. Well, I'll tell you this, that I have been overruled on a few issues, and we'll go into them in respect of the testimonies and the manner of cross-examination. There are aspects that the panelists will go into. I'll do my best to see how I can protect this very platform against libel and contempt, more particularly. I'll start with you, Gabi. There are modalities that have been brought forward as to how cross-examination can be conducted. I have heard or read elsewhere that these modalities have been brought about as a result of the manner in which Tony Lita, went about his cross-examination, that it was simply a delay tactic.
Well, I think we first started with the NDC joinder, which the petitioners thought would just delay, because at the end of the day, it was just duplicitous of the president's interest in the case. But of course, the court felt that there was need to get them in. And then the Senanu joined us. That was before the TB Joshua trip. And that, thankfully, was thrown out. I understand there were 500 waiting at the registrar after the 300. And of course, after that, was it April 2nd, I believe, when the lawyer to the first petition respondent also said that they have about 8,000 witnesses waiting. So they were objecting to the court, asking them to file affidavit instead. They thought that would take a longer time. So the court should just give them 5 to 10 minutes to put every single one of the 8,000 witnesses in the box. The court, of course, disagreed. And then what did we have a few days ago? About 5 hours to tender 35 documents through cross-examination. And we are happy that the court has come with this direction. And really, I don't know, am I allowed to read a couple of paragraphs from that?
Oh, you can read if you like. Why not?
Okay. This is the letter from the court. And it says,
signed by Justice William Atuguba, the presiding judge.
Precisely. In order to expedite the hearing of the petition, the panel hereby directs that the cross-examination on the pink sheets be continued as follows. Counsel for the first respondent do list out the residue of the pink sheets in the manner heretofore identified by him in his cross-examination on the second petitioner, which he claims were duplicated in their mode and manner of generation and extent of their user by the petitioners for the purposes of proof of their petition. The list should be electronically served forthwith by counsel for the first respondent and all other parties. And at the resumed sitting on Monday, 22nd, counsel for the first respondent may put the said list by way of further cross-examination on the second petitioner for his response. The said list can then be tendered in evidence. And I think this is the way to go. And of course, you've raised issues about delay. I believe that the court has shown, particularly from April 2nd, that it is in no mood to delay this case. Some have raised issues that although CI-74 says that it should sit every day, but also CI-74 gives them some room if there's really a need not to sit. And they have some cases, they said. Perhaps what they are looking to do is to get rid of those cases and then continue with this hearing. So I believe, going by the direction that they gave on April 2nd, where a lot will go by affidavit rather than oral testimony, going by this letter to the parties, we expect that this case will perhaps take shorter than we feared. I mean,
you don't think that the respondents might suggest that you're seeking to stifle them in the manner in which, or
look, but if you look at what the court has
go
said,
about their cross-examination.
No, if you look at what the court has said, because what did we see on, was it Thursday? Was it Thursday?
I think so, Thursday.
Yes, what did we see? We saw the same documents in the same mode being tendered in the same way, and the responses being the same. And after 4 or 5 hours, only 35 had been tendered. Let's assume that they have seen 1,000 of these. How long will they take us to go through it? But the court is saying that, look, you know the exhibits you are dealing with. List them. Send an electronic copy to the second petitioner.
Okay.
Let him also prepare his responses. So you come to court. He then says, yes, I admit to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, even the 100,000 of them, I admit to them. You've made your case.
In cross-examination, do you get to have to get the witness to prepare his responses? You just said get the witness to prepare his responses.
But that's what the court is saying.
I'm asking you by your practice.
This is an election petition. and it's all by affidavit. Okay? And it's not prejudice to anybody.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we've seen the mode of this cross-examination. It's about bringing out, because if you notice, none of the respondents tendered any pink sheets. None. Not even the EC. So the pink sheets that we are dealing with in this case are the pink sheets that were presented by the petitioners. So if you are challenging the pink sheets, and by the mode that you did the last time, the court is just saying, look, for the sake of expediting this trial, list them and let him respond accordingly.
Did you find, I was going to ask that question and I forgot. Did you find that even though you say you have the same pink sheets or getting the same responses for all of that is being asked, did you find that there were a few instances where you got slightly different responses that may be used? But those different responses can be given in the box. Because now he knows all the code numbers you are dealing with. He knows the exhibits you are dealing with. So he can come and give you his response. That's all. I think really, at the end of the day, you don't... Oh, do you want any surprises? There are no surprises in this case. There are no surprises. When you are dealing with cross-examination.
Let me tell you why there are no surprises in this case. Because what is it? It's about the pink sheets. It's really about the pink sheets.
The petition and the affidavits.
And you ask him the question, are they duplicates? And he's saying yes. Because, look, at the end of the day, it is all about two issues. What is it? Whether or not there were violations, malpractices, irregularities, or omissions.
And whether or not they affected.
Even with these pink sheets, whether or not there are errors, and whether or not these errors affected what? The analysis and the case before court. The numbers that you are asking the court to annul.
All right.
So
thank you.
Let's not use this process to delay the trial unduly. Because if you look at even the Evidence Act, Section 52 tells you the court, regardless of the evidence being relevant, the court can say it will cause undue delay, and you throw it out.
All right.
They are not throwing it out. They are asking you to do it in a way that will not cause undue delay. And I think we should all welcome that.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll come to Abraham. What do you say about the new regulations and also the process that has gone on so far in respect of leading in exam-in-chief and cross-examination?
Samson, straight away, I would say this document, this administrative fiat, flies in the face of the rules governing cross-examination. And indeed, the purpose for which cross-examination has been instituted.
Why do you say that?
But before I get there, let me talk about delays. When the petitioners amended their petition and took all of us back, and we started afresh.
But they have a right to do so.
That wasn't delay. We have no right to join. That is delay. When the petitioners on Tuesday refused to commence, refused to open their case.
Was it their fault?
That wasn't delay.
It wasn't their fault.
That wasn't delay. But we joining is delay. When the petitioners took 2 days to do examination in chief, that wasn't delay.
2 days.
We just, yes.
1.5 days.
2 days.
It's delay.
That wasn't delay.
I'll tell you what, I'd expected that they would use about 5 days.
Exactly. So we just did 1 day, just 4 hours.
38.
And the Supreme Court is already shivering and saying that it's a delay.
35.
They have used 1.5 days. Let me be charitable. That wasn't delay. When they were giving their evidence in chief, did the Supreme Court say they should give us the questions ahead of time? Is that what, did they say Addison's questions to Baumia should be put in an envelope and given to us so that we also have knowledge of the questions?
Is this not a different scenario?
It is not. What is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. Why? What is the purpose of cross-examination? It's to expose the inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimony. What is the purpose? It's also to test the veracity of what the witness has said. What's the purpose? It's to spring surprise. Take the second point. Yeah? That says that we should serve on the petitioner all that we want, the list of pink sheets we want to interrogate. We should serve it on them. Is it not to say that now, Bawumia, take this and prepare and come and answer our questions. What they are seeking to do is another examination chief.
Give him your questions.
No, not our questions. Give him the documents on which you are going to question. That is entirely saying that they are disarming us and saying that we should give our evidence, our pink sheets that we are going to cross-examine to Bawumia to study. This is, for me, another examination in chief.
Just hold on briefly. Let me come to Inusa. You're also a lawyer. Now, doesn't the Supreme Court or the court have the right to regulate the manner in which the trial goes, including how cross-examination should be conducted?
The Supreme Court definitely has a right to regulate the manner in which the trial should take place, but they do it in court. They don't do it outside court. This is an administrative fiat intended to impose the modalities on the parties. That is where I have my difficulty. This matter, obviously, if the Supreme Court had intended that in the assessment of the situation, the line of cross-examination adopted by the First Respondents Council will occasion delay, they could have in court, subject to the discussions with both parties and counsel for both parties, come up with modalities like this. You see?
So if you would have agreed to it before them, what is wrong about it when it is an administrative fiat?
When that is done, members, I'm not saying that you will agree with it. This is an imposition. When counsel are invited and parties are invited before the judges, then they have opportunity to put across their objections and reservations. But in this case, the reservations have been sidelined. It appears to me that the Supreme Court is not even prepared to countenance any reservation. And like you said, in cross-examination, many things happen. You know, the credibility of the witness is an issue. The witness says that, the petitioner says that all their matters, everything that they are talking about in court is dependent on, just a minute.
You're still here on Newsfile on Joy 99.7 FM, also on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Yes, that
is dependent on paragraph 35 of their petition. It says that the investigation, examination, and analysis of the pink sheets of the polling stations in question, which I directed and supervised, demonstrated a variety of constitutional and statutory violations, malpractices, irregularities, which are set out here under.
That's Dr. Bawumia's affidavit you're reading.
And that is the gravamen of their case.
But they are not saying don't interrogate
So the pink sheets, when you read the whole petition of Bawumia, the case is being fought on pink sheets. So I, as counsel, have every right, when I detect that there are inconsistencies on the pink sheet which contradict, or there's evidence on the pink sheet which contradicts what Bawumia has given in evidence in chief, I'm entitled to hold it to my chest.
But you are not being stopped from doing so.
I'm not saying you should give it out. I should put my arsenals. I should give my arsenals to Dr. Bawumia so that he can come and explain away.
Is it the English? I didn't read it properly.
Read it again.
You have started cross-examination on the particular mode.
No, you can read it again.
Please. No, they are not even going into what is on the pink sheet. It's about exhibits.
No.
You are saying that they are duplicates. No, you are not questioning this. No, but I'm saying, please, let's not confuse.
Let's read the first. He said probably he had misread the decision.
Let's not confuse. Let me read it again. He said, counsel for the respondent do list out the residue of the pink sheets in the manner hereto before identified by him in cross-examination of the second petitioner, which he claims were duplicated. So it's not about all your cross-examination. Please.
Must be served.
Please. The 38. Look. They were all about what? Duplicates. Were they not?
Second point.
No, were they not about duplicates? And they're saying that which he claims were duplicated in their mode and manner of generation and extent of their user by the petitioners for the purposes of proof of their petition.
Go to the second point.
The said list should be electronically served forth by council for the first point.
Served on.
But I'm just saying.
Why should we serve them?
But if on the face of it is a duplicate, it's a duplicate.
No.
I mean, it's not about the substance,
do you get
the facts and figures.
Do you get that they are suggesting you are sort of now preempting what the petitioner, the respondent council is doing, and on that basis saying this is how we can restrict your land.
Every Ghanaian saw it. So everybody saw it. I almost did a scenario in court because I was so bored. I almost slept. No,
I see.
No, please look. If we look at Section 52,
Coco, I'll come to you briefly.
It said the court, in its discretion, may exclude relevant evidence if the probative value of the evidence is substantially outweighed
correct.
by considerations of undue delay, waste of time, or needless presentation of cumulative evidence. They are not excluding. They are not even excluding.
Maybe you want to stress on needless presentation of cumulative evidence.
Precisely. You are, and they're saying that let's find a way, because all you are doing are duplicates. Let's find a way to present all the duplicates. Let him admit, as you were seeking to do, let him admit that, yes, these are duplicate exhibits.
Look, but even with the duplicates, there are different questions to them.
You can put that, that in
they said that the reason why they were duplicates, the reason why they were duplicates is because one was generated manually, the other was generated electronically. Yeah. But yet, we saw that there were still duplicates when both were generated manually. So the questions to each of them would be different.
And so
it's not as easy as that.
I admit that this is an election petition.
Okay, do 1 minute.
This is the first time I'm hearing in the practice of the law that in cross-examination, the court can direct that the matters that you intend to cross-examine on must be given to the...
The fact that it's the first time doesn't make it wrong.
The fact that it's the first time doesn't make it wrong.
You are going on a particular...
No, Gabby, let me ask you the question. If it is...
Of what you are doing.
So I started something. You are saying I should give what is left.
We have not seen what you are doing.
Gabby, gentlemen, let me ask the question. That I do not know that it is the first time, but if granted it is the first time, what is wrong about it when you have identified that this is a case in a different category with consequences that can be very devastating for this country?
No, the fact that the
consequences are not devastating for this country. No.
So
the consequences are not at all devastating for this country.
Can be.
It cannot even be devastating for this country. What the petitioners have gone to court to do is to challenge the election. Okay? And if the election is successfully challenged, then we as a country, having elected to conduct our affairs in accordance with democratic principles, will abide by the decision of the court. It cannot be disastrous.
I see.
That's a good point.
Abdul Malik, you wanted to make a point.
But it's a serious case.
It's a serious case, yes.
Yeah, let's hear
the lawyers have spoken. I am sure if the respondents are so minded that this is against the law, there may be legal avenues for them to seek redress. I'm sure we'll not get there yet.
Legal avenues, what is happening in the Supreme Court is that its final is end. Because for example, some of the objections that have gone on, if it had happened in the lower court, one would want to exercise the right of an appeal. But here you can do that.
No, you are jumping the gun.
All right. Gentlemen, let's hear Kukubaku.
The same panel sitting there, I'm sure, may be confronted with a challenge that we don't think this is fair things. The same panel may have to take a decision. They may have to rule as to the way forward. That's the way I anticipate. I'm not a lawyer.
I know what he's talking about.
I also think so.
On the court day, Monday, it's possible the court would open up and ask the parties to make their views on this document. That's what he's talking about.
That's the same way that it asks them to comment on the media coverage.
That's the point.
That doesn't mean... Does that mean that you shouldn't respond to this?
No, whatever it is. No,
I've not said that.
No, who has said that for this table?
But that's what I was envisaging.
It was a question.
Yeah, that is what I was envisaging. That within that context, I'm sure these processes, we might witness things like that Monday. I'm not sure it's just going to come and freely things just go out.
But you follow the argument by the both of them?
Oh yes. And I'll give you my layman's view.
Please do.
You know, to be honest with you, this administrative direction or whatever it is, I'm in love with it. I think it's preemptive of that whole style by the Council for the First Respondent, am I right? To, and I'm sorry, forgive me if it's contemptuous of what he was doing of the court. I think he was playing to the public gallery. And it had an effect. He knew exactly what he was doing. The multiplicity of the pin sheets that he was asking almost the same question on, and the monotony, the boring, protracted monotony that was subjected to, had one effect. And out there in the streets, I came across many, was that, then the case is a bad case. Every question I ask you, you admit that yes, it's duplication, but I didn't use it in the analysis. I understand that was not having any serious effect. But for the public out there...
I understood it to have serious effect.
Okay, gentlemen, that is where I think we shouldn't go into.
I'm not going
my
far.
Position is that my position is that on issues that the court has pronounced, has ruled on, the court in law has become functus officio. The issues are subject to debate, but issues that are still before them for them to determine, we shouldn't go into.
But you should listen to me.
Yeah.
I know how to address myself on this issue.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that this letter, this what he calls administrative fiat, is curtailing a strategy that had been adopted to appeal to the public mind.
That is your thinking.
Of course.
Because what is it that I'm doing here?
But what is it that I'm doing here?
All right.
And what is it that I've been doing here all the time? I express an opinion.
That's all right.
And I am saying that I can see that whole style, that strategy being preempted by this directive, which seeks to consolidate all what the gentleman was doing and to facilitate the process in the spirit of the law.
Okay.
See,
the law says expeditious trial.
See, let me tell you why it is even in the interest of the respondents. You see, apart from the credibility factor that you sought to undermine, there is the statistical and mathematical area that you are seeking to show that there's been loading or padding.
Yes.
How many of it are you going to do out of the 11,000 something before you arrive at that statistical conclusion? So if you were to consolidate it in an electronic form, you've done about 35 or 37. Fair deal. If we're going to allow you to go through, assuming you had 1,000 or 2,000, how many days is that going to take? So this indeed is even in the interest of the respondents if it's serious business they intend undertaking in the Supreme Court. Unless the court is the one outside. Unless it's the court of public opinion that this strategy was appealing to. That is the point I'm making.
Gentlemen, look at it. What's the point?
This is very serious.
The point Kweku is making.
The counsel in courts.
Of course.
Counsel in courts.
Yes.
Was performing functions as a counsel in court, defending his client to the best of his ability.
Yes.
What came out across to the public was precisely because we had elected that the proceedings must be public.
Yes.
And so in doing my cross-examination, and it is because many such cases have not come public.
Yeah, but I don't understand.
I wanted to ask you this. The point that Kweku Baku makes, that you can also benefit from it. Look at it this way. Johnson Esiedun Ketia will be led in examination in chief. You will have the opportunity to cross-examine him. So that if it were the case that he also needed to serve you with certain documents before you do the cross-examination, you have the same thing. So it's a balanced thing, isn't it?
Maybe they don't want this case to finish.
No, we want it to finish. We want the case to finish. Probably it's because we understand the gravamen of their case. It's rested on the pink sheets. And at any material point in time, it is the pink sheets.
This will facilitate the
work. 1,138 pink sheets.
Let me tell you why Tony
we spent a day to go through 38 out of 11,138.
This is very helpful.
11,138.
Okay.
So how many days are we going to go through?
But that's your style. That's your style. They have their right to also.
It's not that they have right to delay the court. It's not. They don't have a right to delay the court.
They don't have the right to delay.
They don't have the right to delay. That's not in the interest of justice.
Nobody is delaying.
It's not in the interest of justice.
Samson, you
use 5 hours.
No. You know, as a
to
lawyer,
present 38 documents of the same
document.
One minute.
You know, as a lawyer, that if a document is tendered and you don't impeach that document, and you say that you know that
Who
there
says
are
don't?
Hold it briefly.
And you say that as counsel, you know there are 26 of them. You are impeaching them in bulk. You know it will not be considered as having impeached them one after the other.
Oh,
you must necessarily impeach them
so the
one
court,
after
but who
the
say
other.
you can't impeach them one after the other?
Now,
you just list them.
I am about to say this.
The question is, what's the end result?
The end result is what Koku said. That
is that you win in the court of public opinion.
That
you are winning
in the eyes of the court, it has come out clearly that the number that they sought to claim that these were the number of areas that there were irregularities is not actually true because they padded it up.
No, Baumia is saying Baumia no, you see.
And
the court has
that's the effect you want it to happen.
That's the
second thing you will want to demonstrate in court is the consistency of the pattern.
The duplication.
Achieve that.
All right, gentlemen.
We won't tell you our strategy.
Gentlemen, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's move on to the other leg of this discussion. This show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN. Everywhere you go, and Star Assurance, your solid partner. Now, MTN, it's absolutely fantastic with MTN 123 offer. For only GH1 cedi, 1 Ghana cedi, you get an amazing 123 minutes daily. For 2 cedis, gives you 253 minutes daily, and for 3 cedis you get a whopping 400 minutes daily. So get tasty, hook up with your friends and family and get talking today. It's massive free minutes every day only on MTN. Dial star 315 hash or SMS star 315 to sign up today. Yes, talk is tasty only with MTN 123. MTN everywhere you go. Now we come to the other leg of the discussion and want to look at this point of the concerns about the effects that this is having on the national life. The productivity is being slowed and it's even affecting governance. I want to first of all hear from Abdul Malik.
The live broadcast,
the
telecast, fantastic development. It demystifies the judicial process. In the process, it will enhance the integrity of that institution and the processes and procedures that they use. We all know what we've gone through over the years. Some period of bastardization of the judiciary, the suspicions, the mistrust, and things, some fueled by responsible people like ourselves and all the rest when we don't get cases going our way. So this is real education for all of us, even I suspect including some lawyers, So the value is inestimable. It's not tangible, yes, but its value, its effect is so great that I'm not for one moment about wonder as to how much it's affecting productivity, even though I concede, because I've been told that in some offices, when you go, everybody is glued to the television. I thought there was a time a directive was given for televisions in offices to be, disabled, quote unquote. So in terms of people watching it in the offices and things, look, we have man hours. We have times that you have to work in order to get your due, isn't it? Management, that's the question of management, question of administration in particular offices. Particularly here we are talking, I'm not sure private companies would allow their employees to stop doing whatever work they are doing and get glued to televisions and radio stations without producing anything that day. I'm not sure. I can't believe it. But the public sector, we have managers, we have directors, we have administrations. It's up to them if they are going to be that relaxed and allow people who have gone to work so to say, and who are being paid their monthly salaries based on their daily output, to forget doing any work, that's another issue. Out there are thousands and thousands or millions of Ghanaians who are not employed in the public sector, who are watching this thing live. It's both local and international. So I find it difficult. I'm not too sure why we've been asked the question we've been asked. Is it to exclude the live broadcast? No. We don't have the luxury of an alternative. Right now, we've reached that stage where the live broadcast itself is a cure for some mischief, and is also a catalyst to grow our democracy.
All right.
We ought not to pose the question in that manner. That's my view.
I see.
If there's trouble on the work front, people are not working, my problem is with the management. What is it that they are doing that is making people forget the work they must do on a daily basis so that they can continue watching TV? Let's ask that question of management.
Okay. Thank you. Abi, what do you say?
That question is not out of place. It's within context, because clearly we all see that when this live telecast is on, people actually are glued to their TV. How much does that affect productivity? And so it's a relevant question. We will not want to gloss our eyes over it. We don't want to behave like the ostrich and think that because we have buried our head in the sand and we can't see anybody, nobody's seeing it. We must acknowledge that something is taken away as a result of the live telecast. So I think that the question is proper. But nothing good comes without a cost. So when you draw a balance sheet and you want to find out whether the live telecast has more good than the negative, one would be tempted to say that the live telecast would, as it were, enhance our democratic processes and also enhance the transparent nature of the trial. I think that what we should be doing is that there could be a way to ensure that even if we watch, there should be a way by which you can do some extra work to cover the lost time. And if we are able to do that, we can plow back some of the things that we are going to lose. I think the live telecast, as it is now, people are beginning, and this case has made the 25 million Ghanaians all legal practitioners.
I see.
Yes.
That's true, because there are comments everywhere.
There are comments everywhere. And sometimes, even those of us who are lawyers, I must tell you, are learning from this case.
That is
Indeed,
true.
those who are even conducting the case, I have heard some of the lawyers in conducting the case say that we take a cue from you, my lord. So it's a learning process, and it should not be curtailed.
All right, thank you. And
so the question must be properly posed.
It has been posed properly.
Okay, now, Gawi, what's your take on that? That it's affecting every facet of life and slowing us down.
And that's the paradox of this case. You would think that if production suffers, tax revenue will suffer. So, the ruling party, who is a party to this seat, the president, who is a party to this seat, would use a strategy that would expedite this case. And if you spend 5 hours interrogating packaging, what is wrong with packaging of evidence? Packaging, labeling and packaging of evidence, not the substance of the evidence. You spend 5 hours interrogating 38 or 35 of them. Then, of course, you want the case to what? Drag and drag and drag. And the longer this case drags on, what happens? It affects productivity.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, we spend 2-3 weeks watching the World Cup, don't we, in this country? We do that every 4 years. And I expect that we're not going to have a presidential petition every 4 years, are we? Okay? So, and I think I heard, was it Kweku? I think it was Kweku I heard say this, that the cost of people being led by these propaganda mongers, that's if you don't do live broadcast, okay? And then we may not have the acceptance that we require to support our stability. The cost to productivity will be more expensive than 3 weeks, 6 weeks sort of trial. So yes, the more we expedite this case without sacrificing justice, then of course, even watching the program, I mean, people are buying small radios. That's productivity. You're spending money. You go to bars, there are people there watching. They're buying drinks, aren't they? You know, it's productivity.
And there are those who also say that young children will also begin to now think about wanting to do law because they'll be fascinated by the things that are going on.
Yes. You know, so at the end of the day, and then look, people now even understand what the pink sheet is about.
I see. Yeah.
No, it's amazing because, you know, Baumia took his time to go through it. And the EC will also come and give the explanation. We will all understand what goes into elections, what our democracy is about.
All right.
And at the end of the day, whatever helps our stability, helps us to strengthen the pillars of our democracy, our institutions, is good for productivity.
Let me read a few
medium to long term.
A few messages that are coming through. This one says that it's from Prince Champong. He says that the Supreme Court is right in setting new modalities for cross-examination because what Tonelita did by wasting 5 solid hours on just 38 pink sheets was boring and time-consuming. Martin Selassie Sosu says, for me, I support the blacklisting of the 2 general secretaries. But what about the journalists who report from the court? As much as we don't want this case dragged into the political mud, why then do journalists, after talking to the lead counsel, lead counsels, the plural for counsel is still counsel. Lead counsel still give the microphones to the general secretaries. After all, proceedings from the court is carried live for everyone to see.
Sensationalism.
All right. This one says, Samson, I'm not a lawyer. That is Seydou Yusuf. He says, Samson, I'm not a lawyer, but critically listening to your panel members, the court in a way is disarming the respondents' lawyers, and this could lead further to misunderstanding. Ibrahim says that, Samson, what is neutral about the Ghana Bar Association? I think it's in respect of the question that they had, suggested that they would set up a team of lawyers to help in the process.
So NDC don't have lawyers?
He's also concerned that he says, are there 2 sets of laws in this country? We can discuss Woyome and not this current matter. All right. I think that depending on who is handling the issue at which part of time and what capacities they have, you should be able to stay away from contempt. Kwame sends in this one. He says that counsel for the respondents have already indicated to the court what the point of those questions relating to the pink sheets are. No purpose of surprise will be served any longer. So he says that your point of taking away certain rights from you. And there's a friend in Kumasi, Eunice. He says today is your birthday, is it?
Yes, apparently.
Oh,
yes.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll take your view on the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In the counting cost, and that is what is amazing about this election petition. We seem to narrow costs at any point in time to what that activity.
Eunice
Atakra.
The journalist.
Yeah, I've been looking at costs from the beginning of the exercise, and I think that this election petition is very costly. Costly in terms of, production. Productivity has gone down drastically because of this election.
Hey, they're going to blame the court case.
Yeah, I'm not blaming the court case. Even it has affected the confidence of investors who want to come into this country because of this.
It has?
Case. Yes. So when you are counting costs, you must count all those things, and that's why we need to have this thing, closure to this thing. Sitting at where
why must it affect the confidence of investors? Because we know that this is a democratic constitutional arrangement that no matter what happens, the constitution will be upheld, supreme.
Maybe the NDC investors.
This is a democratic country that is in third world Africa, and that is subject to many political risks. So investors take political risks into consideration in coming. So you must know that. And even within the local setting.
That's what the outcome can lead to an explosion or what?
No. The outcome can lead to a requestioning of a contract, for instance.
Oh.
And yes. Oh, why?
When governments
but then when you change governments, it's the same thing.
But you are not changing government. That's when you change government, it's the same thing. So why don't you wait to see whether the government will change or not? When you change government, it's the same thing. I mean, when the ill-fated STS was taking place in Parliament, you had the pronouncement of the MPP. We wanted. I mean, if we came into power, we will definitely change this. So what I'm saying is that when you are counting costs, you must not limit it to what is happening, cost of productivity. You must not limit it to what is happening on TV. You must take it from the beginning. Just like Gabi said, we are learning from the election petition on pinches. Again, we're narrowing it to pinches. When we are talking about election, we must take it from the processes. We might think that the pink sheet is the beginning and end all. It doesn't. So let's look comprehensively and holistically at what is happening.
All right.
MPP members of Parliament refused to take part in vetting of ministers. It didn't affect productivity.
No,
it didn't affect.
The vetting of
no, it didn't affect. They refused to sit down in Parliament.
Okay.
It didn't affect productivity.
There's a certain linkage.
It didn't affect.
There's a certain linkage that is being made to this, and also the president's ability to deliver in his first 100 days. We'll go into the first 100 days, and in the next few minutes. By production, I understand that we are not discussing the matter of Ahmadinejad and his visit and what that implications that could have for us. That's what the executive producer tells me. Now, I want us to take about yes, yes, it was, but that's what I got. Now, I want to ask this question, and we get 2 minutes of your comments each on it, and I'm taking it from this texter. Amiwo Abero, he says, Letta is now starting cross-examination and people are claiming victory. We shall see. The question is it obviously not premature for people to begin to celebrate? We are hearing about winning 2, objections, and that gives an indication that the petitioners are winning
22-3 or something.
Yes. I'll take your view on that first.
Yes, I think really maybe what some of us should be doing is to tell the supporters to be calm. This is a trial. It swings because you've brought your evidence, and at the end of the day, some holes will be punched into your evidence as to how far, how weighty, how large those holes are. That is, at the end of the day, that's how the court will assess all those things. So it will swing. The respondents will come. They will say what they want to say. This is cross-examination. If you have Electoral Commission in the dock, you will see a similar thing. So people should just take their time and not claim any victory. But it doesn't stop you from having evidence in the strength of your case. Because even if you had Gloria said, look, our case is solid. We have and the 11,138 pink sheets that they brought, the analysis were based on them, not on the duplicates. The duplicates were packaging errors. It happens. These things. So at the end of the day,
all of this appear to have influenced why the New Patriotic Party issued a statement suggesting that the petitioners have proved no double counting in their analysis, so that even after you put your case in court, we come out and we still need to put out a certain information to the general public.
Let me explain. It's important because you've already tendered the evidence that you are now dealing with 11,138. If you look at this statement, all that they have done, and it's even on my website, all that they have done is to put out all the 11,138 with their unique code, police station code, police station name, and to tell you that really the analysis that went into the numbers that they are claiming should be annulled, there's no duplication. But of course, they have to prove that in court. But already that's been submitted. So the information that is in court, they're just giving it to the public. Because people were also worried about the way things are going. So really, I think people should just be calm.
Take it easy. Abraham, what do you say about that? People beginning to claim victory already, that is 2-0, or is it?
Yes, and so those who are saying it's 2-0 and they are jubilating because they belong to the 2 side should be ready. If the verdict goes against them, they will still agree to it. Because that's the danger.
But they don't have to jubilate.
No, I'm saying that if you are claiming victory as at now, when the matter is not over, you should be prepared to accept the outcome. When
whether you are claiming victory or not, you should be prepared.
No, Gabi, I'll know. So the point is that this is too early in the day. These are objections. It will go your way, it will not go your way. For me, I think that what should be happening now is the cross-examination. Has it exposed the witness? You can have your own views. Somebody will say that the witness is solid. Another person will say that, oh, this witness has been exposed, as we believe. And so, if you look at it from that angle, there's no need counting the number of times that somebody has gotten victory or not. In any case, the NDC got the biggest victory in this matter. When the NDC wanted to join, there was a whole hullabaloo that don't join. But we won it. We didn't go to town with it. And so I think the petitioners, he was talking about figures. They started by 4,709. And that is why they had to put out this information that you just read. They revised their figures to 11,196. From there, when we did our accounts in court, actually they surveyed with 8,000 plus. Today, we have been told that it's 11,138. The question is, why do they keep changing their figures? Are they not sure of what they are coming to court with? So,
but there's nothing wrong with that.
There's so much things wrong with that. So much things wrong with that. Why? If you are not sure of the number of figures that you are coming to court with, or the number of police stations that you think there are irregularities, in the first place, why do you come to court?
Well, you go to court. How many times haven't you amended?
Is that why
your statement?
Is that why Chalujan told them that they were mathematically challenged? Is that the reason? I think that they can do better than that.
You want us to do better than
that? By not being consistent with their figures. For me, it goes to show how their case is crumbling.
I see.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well. You excuse my language. There's too much premature ejaculation out there.
All right. No, you won't repeat that. Go on.
Done. No further comments.
Yes, they should use protection. No.
Substance.
Yes,
yeah. Trials and litigation has some uncanny resemblance to boxing. It goes in rounds. Then this I got from my practice. First of all, where the opponent is injured the most, that's where you continue hitting, in boxing and in court. That's what happens. When you go into court and lead your witness in cross-examination, and his credibility, the veracity of his case, has not been able to be successfully attacked, you claim victory. You walk out of court and say, look, today we've done well. That is what has just happened. It's playing out. I don't know why we are wasting time talking about it. It plays out like that. Whether it's election petition or whether it's boxing. When you win round one, they will say you have won. People watching it will say this boxer has won round one.
You advocate for your clients at a particular point in time, and they are extremely excited.
They want to follow you to your house.
But
the case is not finished yet.
All right.
Some interlocutory victories will chip away. Yes, some are important.
What I'm saying is that it's just like that. It comes in rounds.
But don't get overly excited.
Okay.
Be calm.
Your client might even carry a plantain from Kwahu and bring to your house.
Thank you.
Victory.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You may end up being carried by a hippopotamus.
All right, Gavi. All right, this is a Newsfile brought to you by the kindest sponsorship of MTN. Everywhere you go, Star Assurance, your solid partner, and Bank of Africa. And I need to tell you that Star Assurance has got very good packages in terms of insurance products for you. You know, while some hazards arise next to no time, our protection comes even faster. At Star Assurance, their passion is to offer you cutting-edge insurance policies that give you peace of mind and the power to achieve your set of goals. They work to protect your properties and businesses when the expected and unexpected happen. You are assured of prompt claims payment and superior customer service. Their policies include burglary, bonds, fire and allied perils, marine, motor, travel insurance, contractors, all risk policy, and many more, with branches located all over the country. They are focused on building partnership that lasts a lifetime. Star Assurance. You can contact them on 0302 240 632 or visit their website www.starassurance.com. Star Assurance, your solid partner. And we'll take a quick break here. Return to look at 100 days. What has John Mahama got to show for it? This is your Joy News channel on Multi TV, and this is also Joy 99.7 FM. Thank you for keeping your dials here. And Edmond Asante writes, why are the respondents complaining about the administrative fiat? Were they happy when the court ruled in favor of the supply of further and better particulars? Let's leave the 9 wise men alone. That's Edmond Asante. Okay, I won't take 2 messages from you. Give some other people space. This one says, Samson, this is Amiwo. It says, Samson, Sir John said on Monday after the proceedings that by the next day, people will start jubilating because they have won their case. I think Mosquito needs delay speech lessons, while Sir John needs communication studies. Thank you for your messages. Now, I say it's been a loud and turbulent 100 days in the animal farm. Why have the promised wheat and barley, milk and honey not flowed for all? That is the question on many lips, on the streets, as some score the manager, poor and average. Want to know what your verdict is on the performance of John Mahama in 100 days. Some have been looking at issues regarding appointments. Some say there's actually not a big statement to be made about the appointments. Uhuru Kenyatta is giving some very loud signals, reducing ministries from as many as 44 to 18. And is that the kind of thing we are looking for, to have been able to say that the president is done well in 19 days? I'll read briefly some headlines that have come up in the assessing the 100 days. This one says, John Mahama's first 100 days. Imani scores him 47%. CASA says period is befuddled with challenges. Then you have Mahama's 100 days. The Ghana Integrity Initiative demands action, not words. And then I'll read the final one. Joe Abbey rates under pressure Mahama highly in 100 days. I'll start with you on this one, Alhaji Yusuf Seni. 100 days.
100 days.
What has the government got to show for?
100 days definitely very challenging. 100 days definitely very turbulent. Labor unrest, power, water, court action, challenges in parliament, boycotts.
You say that and Gabi says you are running away from what you're supposed to be doing. Don't give excuses.
Well, I'm just talking about the 100 days. I mean, this is not the first government in Ghana that has had 100 days.
All right.
So when we are talking about 100 days of John Mahama, you cannot talk about it in isolation.
All right.
But what I know is that the first 100 days, His Excellency John Mahama has been focused. For the first time in the history of this country, in this fourth republic, he put in his first government, his first ministers, within 1 month after he assumed office. 1 month after he assumed office. And that has never happened. That's never happened. Yes, I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that. The first ministers of John Mahama's government were sworn into office around the 28th of January. That's never happened. In January 7th to 28th. Yes.
Let's
I think we did precision.
Yeah.
They were sworn in 28 January.
Yes.
You mean?
Yes.
Parliament had vetted them.
Yes.
And they were sworn in.
They came to office. I was one of them.
28th
Yes,
January.
January. I was one of them.
I'm not too sure about
Yeah,
that.
that's why you are not too sure, because you don't monitor. So you can rate him 47%.
Oh, yeah.
Not you. I'm talking generic. Generic. People can rate him 47%. Because they don't monitor those things.
They're rating them on the performance of the ministers, not their swearing in.
It's a performance of the president. Not, they didn't say, they didn't say ministers. You see,
Well,
again,
I'm just saying, but
no, you are saying it. I'm just talking about.
But the same thing happened 2001. By
Where?
the first 100 days, some ministers had already been sworn into office.
I'm not talking about 100 days. I'm talking about the first 30 days.
Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about the first 30 days. Check your history. You are an investigative journalist. Check your history.
He's a man with a document.
Yes, check it.
Okay.
I'll check,
And this shows a president who was focused even in the light of challenges to the validity of his election. Is set on course to work. Now, even in the face of the daunting challenges with power and water, he had the presence of mind to continue to give clear directives to his appointees on how to overcome those challenges. Indeed, this is a president who, within those days, had to travel to Nigeria and other places to ensure that we overcame these challenges. I will not rate the president, but I will say that yes, any president that has been confronted with challenges of this nature, challenges that have come about as a result of the acceptance of an obligation or a duty that was left for us by the exiting MPP, challenges that has not prevented and limited the ability of government to continue to pay salaries of workers. All these 4 months in office, workers have continued to receive salaries. What has agitated their minds and motivated them to go on strike has been the allowances associated with their performance of their works. And the delay, that computation for the payment of those salaries have come about or are brought about. So for me, His Excellency John Mahama clearly is exhibiting traits that we have known him for. That he has been focused, very decisive, hard-working, in order to be able to continue to pursue the Better Ghana agenda. Look, for 3 months or 4 months now, about half of the population of this country have not been prepared to accept the legitimacy of the president. Meanwhile, in the
when you
face
say
of
about half of the population,
Yes.
you are talking about the election numbers.
Yes, election numbers.
As regards
election
how
numbers.
much.
Yes. I'm just talking about election numbers.
Okay.
Half, whatever.
And is it their fault?
Oh, we are not talking about fault. We are talking about ratings.
Okay.
I mean, if you are going to justify why they should do that, that's not my business. I'm talking about ratings. That even on public platforms, leading members of this and responsible citizens of this country have had occasion to insult him directly. He's not lost his cool. Called him a thief and all those things. He's not lost his cool.
I thought that the insults have been a very normal, aspect.
But again, presidents in this country have lost their cool due to insults.
Okay.
You see, when you are looking at comparisons, I mean, we should be fair and set ground rules that will make people who have actually even been contesting for presidency have lost their cool in the face of insults. Not to talk about somebody in whom executive power under Article 58 is vested. And I'm saying that I have seen clearly the determination, commitment of this president to do just what he promised the people of Ghana. Stay focused on the job. He has his hand on the throttle of the ship, prepared to guide Ghana. I believe and hope that when the case in the Supreme Court is ended, and if judgment is returned in favor of the president, you will see a greater acceleration.
I think those who score him very poor marks are suggesting that they want to see clear, loud policy, decisions that have made an impact. For example, if you were asked what are the 3 topmost achievements of the president within the 100 days, what would they be?
Oh, the first and most important for me, that at the helm of affairs, His Excellency John Mahama has been able to secure the social cohesion and integrity of this country. It's an achievement that people have not costed because they look at policies. In the barrage of attacks, this president has ensured that this country remains united and focused, cohesive in pursuing the developmental agenda of the state. In the face of attacks on people pursuant to the elections, this president has said, no, that is not the way to go in 100 days. Tell me, which policy has a gestation period of 100 days? Which policy? But you look at what the president is doing, the consistent building blocks that he's putting in place, then give him time. And I've heard people like the former ambassador to Slovenia, what's his name?
Nyaho Tamaklo.
Say, yes, time is not right for you to even talk about that. Look, these are not normal times. The first time ever in the history of this country that a sitting president winning election by more than 300 votes is being challenged in courts.
I mean 300,000
votes. It's been challenged in courts. In 2008, it was less than 200,000 votes. There was no challenge in court. The president might ask himself, why? What is it that is pushing people to try to prevent me from carrying on my responsibilities? That alone is capable of derailing the focus of the president. But I still see him as being focused. And so I think that basically in the face of these daunting challenges, in the face of people questioning the legitimacy, the authority of the president has held sway, he's remained focused, he's remained decisive, he's had his hand clearly on the steering wheel of governance, and he's steering this country to a successful and very developmentally oriented path, so that when he has completed his mandate as a president, and when we come to have a realistic assessment of his performance while in office as against those who have come before him, we can say, well, he did better. Okay. And that we expect those who will come after him to do better than he has done.
All right, Gabi.
I think the 100 days, I would describe it as, if you like, defined by leadership befuddlement. Leadership commotion. And
brought upon him by you?
To some degree, leadership confusion. To even a greater degree, a lack of clarity as to which direction we are going. I mean, look, 100 days. What has defined the 100 days? You tell me. I don't know. I really, if I ask you, because of course we ran this election on the B keke, yeah, kind of simple. You go B keke, or the B keke, or the D keke.
All die, we die.
Ran this election on the B keke, and now they've now called Ghana what they are confirmed republic. You don't know which direction the country is headed. And you would think...
You mean the country is directionless?
No. Please, allow him to finish. Allow him to finish.
You would think that with this court case around his neck, he would, bring to bear all the skills, all the competence he can muster to get the country behind him. But the way things are going, I think deep down, the president is probably thinking, please, let this court case save me. So I can go and rest myself.
Even on the surface.
I can go and rest myself. Because, look, if you look at... Let me even just give you one thing that the president said in his policy directives of last year. With the completion of the single spine salary structure, I have directed the Minister of Finance to recommend short and medium-term measures to restore the balance among government expenditures and on personal emoluments, goods and services, and capital and infrastructure development. That is consonant with our middle income status. Now, 3-4 months to that election, huh? All right? Over 3 billion of our money, huh? 3 billion of our money was spent.
Are you talking about the first 100 days? Or
he's going
when
back.
he was sworn in?
He's going back. I suspect he may be laying a foundation for something. Let's listen to him. Just make a note.
Yes.
And we ended up, okay, in his caretaker role, moving into his actual, if you like, that's if he won the election, moving into his leadership. We went into this country, we went into this year with 8.7 billion Ghana cedis. His administration, 4 or 5 months, responsible for about 3 billion of that. And ask yourself, you are in parliament.
You're referring to the deficit.
I'm coming. Ask yourself, you are in parliament. How much of that money that you spent, of our money that you spent, have you been able to account for it?
Who has not been able to account for it?
And then you are telling us about challenges. What are the challenges?
Who has not been able to account for it?
Who
has not been able to account? I don't think you were following the budget hearing.
I have followed everything.
No, you are not following the budget hearing.
I have followed everything, my brother.
That they said that the money just disappeared into thin air?
I have followed everything.
Oh, no.
You want me to give you just one example?
Yeah, give one example.
I followed everything.
Give an example that shows that the money just vanished into thin air.
Please.
I'm begging that you take notes.
As I speak to you, they haven't been able to give breakdown MDA accounts of how they spend about half of the money.
MDA?
Of the deficit. I'm telling you.
MDA?
I'm telling you,
MDA?
breakdown of how they spend.
What is MDA? What is MDA?
No, I'm talking about the ministries, the departments, the agencies.
So who gives the breakdown?
No.
Who gives the breakdown of MDA?
Please, I'm telling you, Parliament as we speak.
Who gives the breakdown? The president?
Please,
just
hold on.
It's this government. You have spent our money.
You can do better than this.
Because you wanted to win election, you spent our money.
There's a body that's supposed to audit every pesewa expended in the name of the Republic.
I understand.
Have they done audit and reported that there are problems with those that you mentioned?
Our money was spent recklessly in the last 4 months of last year.
And you give MDAs as an example? Because the president has to go around and audit all the accounts.
Please allow him to make his point.
We had the president in charge of our economy. We had the president in charge of our coffers.
It's not even true.
4 billion.
It's not even true. It's not even true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
Because as an MDA, as a minister, I was in parliament to defend my budget.
But I think that you are heckling him too much.
No, it's not true. What is not true is not true.
So please make a note for me.
Departments and agencies appeared before the parliamentary committee.
I'd be grateful if you stop heckling him in the manner you're doing. Sorry.
The kind of recklessness that our money was put to use in the last 4 months of last year. I've never seen it in the annals of our history. I've never seen it before. And then we enter this year. I mean, ask yourself, you think there are strikes, all these strikes, about 8 were UTAG, blah, blah, blah. And then you probably think that, and they start giving all kind of reasons for it. Well, all these strikes, go into them. You agree to give people workers' allowances. You don't do that. You use the money to go and buy other stuff that you haven't budgeted for. Monies were spent on things because they wanted to win election that they didn't budget for. So you have strikes now, and you think the people who are having strikes are the ones who are not being reasonable.
You can't prove that. You can't prove that money belonging to the Republic was expended in the election.
I'm telling you that go and look at the details of the overspending of last year.
No, I'm saying you can't prove that.
I can tell you that monies were given for things that were not budgeted for, and those things were spent so that they could have an advantage in the election.
You're a responsible citizen of this country. You have the same obligation to bring this to the attention of the appropriate authority. Have you done so?
My brother, I can give you documents of it, and I will do so.
That would be great.
I will do so.
That would be great.
I'm telling you that. Ask yourself, how come they haven't been given been able to give details on a lot of the stuff that have been spent. Parliament will come back, and you will see more. You know, and when we
see more of what?
My brother. The 8.7 billion. The 8.7 billion.
What you're talking about is 100 days in office.
MPP coming to Parliament or Parliament?
Okay.
But the 100 days.
You've done 7 minutes. I'm giving you some 2 more minutes.
The challenges, a lot of the challenges of these 100 days were caused by the recklessness of last year. A lot of it were caused by the recklessness of last year. And that's what we are suffering from. You spend people's money recklessly, and then you come and you tell them to tighten their belts. Now, tell me, what are the policies of this government for jobs? What are we seeing? What is the policy for jobs? Do you know? I don't know. What I do know is that you spent 8.7 billion, you still couldn't meet your capital expenditure of last year. You had to spend it by 1 billion.
Okay.
What did you use the money for?
Gabi,
you can account for 2 billion on salaries.
Gabi, you haven't read the budget. You haven't read the budget about money for entrepreneurial development and all of that. It doesn't matter to you as far as job creation is concerned.
We see things for Maslock and all that, things that they haven't budgeted for. That's what they spend the money on because they know why they were using the money for. I'm telling you, the way our money was spent recklessly last year. If we're going to continue on this line, in 2 years' time, this country, there will be nothing left of this country.
Thank you very much, Gabi Asare Ochre Dako.
I'm not interested in 100 days. What have you done?
Okay. Now, Abraham Amaliba, what's your take? 100 days.
When you listen to Gabi, you think that this country is a banana state, and that everything is gone berserk.
Banana is edible.
This is not the kind of economy that couldn't pay its workers until it sold Vodafone to pay the workers. This is not the kind of economy we are talking about. And yet, Gabi, who was an integral part of that government that sold Ghana Telecom so as to pay workers, is now pontification.
I've never been in government, you know.
It's now pontification, a supporter of that regime.
Okay.
You see, so I sometimes it's not as if you've not had the benefit of ruling this country. We've seen you. The people of this country have seen you. And they've come to the conclusion that this country is safe in the hands of the NDC than you. We have come out of campaigning. These are campaign things. You are rehashing the campaign things. And during the campaign, the people of this country made a choice. You see, this 100 days is fetish to me. Because, look, what can a president actually do in 100 days? Managing a country is not like managing your household. And so, this 100 days thing, you are not going to see probably tangibles for you to say that this is what the president has done in the 100 days. Indeed, some people gave the president 47%. I think that it was even good. Consider the kind of situation that we found ourselves when he came to power. You see, the only time you can appreciate or know the height a person has reached is to look at the depth from which he came. This is a president who did not have honeymoon. Yeah? This is a president who, immediately he was sworn in,
he's been married again.
Was, as it were, bombarded with all difficulties. And he has acknowledged the challenges. Indeed, he says that these challenges are to make him more wiser. And that will soon overcome them.
He declared a Armageddon on the states.
You get the point. So,
Armageddon.
For me,
that gets me laughing.
For me, we can only look at
the country. You tell me about
the direction in which the president is taking us to. And when you look at the direction, you will be clear in your mind that this is a president who is focused on delivering on his promises that he made to the people of this country. He just appointed the 5 wise men to take into consideration those aspects of his manifesto that he intended to implement. The 200 schools. And that's what the people of this country will hold him accountable for, not the things that he's talking about. People want to see the 200 schools. They want to see the one university at his backyard. They want to see the training colleges. That's what the people of this country will hold this president for, and not the things he's talking about. What is the direction that this country is being driven along? Look at the composition of his ministers. Youthful people, people who are ready, energetic, and ready to fire. It tells you that, you know, he made a statement that the youth are not the future leaders, but the youth are the present leaders.
But some have criticized that you're talking about youth without real substance, really.
Oh, they should ask Kufuor, then President Kufuor, who was appointed at his youthful age by Buzia, and he went and addressed the UN at that tender age. What it has done to him today. If we agree that President Kufuor is the most successful Dankwa Buzia is, as we speak today, it's because he was appointed much earlier.
Age of 31 or what? 31?
So I think that those who are doing that is sour grapes. They think that they should be appointed.
31, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, there are challenges. Water, electricity. But you see, the way he has managed the challenges is what we should be looking at. You know, we had 300 megawatts of, he was in the energy sector, of deficit of energy. As I speak now, my understanding that it has reduced to 80 megawatts. And at the end of this month, Bui will come on board.
At the end of this month?
Yes. Bui will come on board.
Yeah, April. First quarter.
Some part of it will come.
The first.
You see?
Turbine.
So, he's still dealing with the issues. He's still dealing with the challenges. The answer is here. This is a president who said that even though he had generators in his house, he wasn't sleeping in darkness like other Ghanaians. But what did he say? That he has sleepless nights. Because he feels for the ordinary Ghanaian who has no light.
I'm happy.
That is how connected he is to the ground.
Ordinary Ghanaian.
That's how he's connected to the people. And that's how the people love him. And that's why
policies.
he will always win elections and people will go and be contesting that election. They don't know what he has put in there. I think that, indeed, and what are we discussing? I don't even know what we're discussing.
Listen
First
to
100 days, what are we discussing?
Listen to
People
this.
said they were going to throw bombs.
Listen to this. The
They said they were going to
CPP's.
throw bombs.
Hold on. The CPP's Kabila, you know him. He says that Samson, which president in our history has had unchallenged 100 days? That's a question. Anyway, I thought the NDC claimed John Mahama was unshaken by the court case. Please let all those hiding behind challenges to rationalize the unacceptable failures of John Mahama to be told that he came to power on the wave of the claim to have answers to those very challenges. So if his answers are not potent enough, or were we wrongly judged? He's asking those questions. You are hiding behind and that no particular president has had unchallenged 100 days.
I know as a matter of fact, Kabila was still in the university, that when Kufuor came, he declared the first 6 months as no political period. I mean, no political talk or something like that. A ban.
Did he get it?
He got it. I was in the radio station and talking politics. They came and removed me. Radio Savannah.
Indeed, let me add you. When Kufuor came to power,
removed me. Now political something.
Traders at Aboso can reduce prices.
Yes, first 100 days.
Huh? Reduce prices. Is that the situation we have now?
He said they love John Mahama.
I'm saying that.
I'm saying that 1 year of Kufuor, what did he do? Not 100 days.
And he's providing answers to our problems. I'm just talking about the energy sector.
Amen.
I think that, what are we comparing as I pose the question?
You're comparing
the president has not indicated that in my first 100 days, I'm thinking we will go for 100 years. In the first 100 days, these are the things I will do. For you to say that he has reneged in his promise. He has not indicated that I will provide this, I will provide this. So what is the comparison here? Or what are we talking about? So it's much ado about nothing. There are people who simply think that there can be nothing good about the president because he doesn't belong to their camp. But this is a president who is focused. A president who...
Focus on what?
Who... On resolving the issues of this country.
Finish in a minute.
Yes, on resolving the issue of this country. This is a president who has not slept, who has gone to physically gone to sites where energy is being produced. He has visited Abuazi. He's gone to all the places to supervise personally. He's not an armchair president. And you sit here, and then it's improving. It's improving. Yeah. So I think that
because of his leadership, able leadership.
Gentlemen,
my conclusion remarks are that first 100 days, you don't expect the president to bring heaven on earth, but you can see some positive directions that is leading this country to.
Okay, thank you, Abraham Amaliba. And then Sampine of the NPP in the Ashanti Region Executive, he says that describing the president's first 100 days as turbulent is an admission of failure by the president. But he says, I'm not the least surprised because this is a man who told the whole world that he had lost the only person who he looked up to. When President Mills died in 2012, December, President Mahama told us Ghanaians that Ghana had the best of economy in the nation's history. What happened between January and now? Thank you very much, Sampine. And then Mutala also wants me to tell Gabi that you should not make emphatic statements about what you don't know. He says, as a member of the Finance Committee, every single ministry or agency gave detailed explanations in their expenditure returns submitted to various committees at Parliament. Gabi and the NPP have indicated severally that the presidency spent in excess of 600,000 without any shred of evidence. This is not correct. Thank you, gentlemen. Now let's hear from Abdul Malik Kwekubako Jr.
When Kufuor's administration took office, I don't recall that the NPP had captured in any document that within 100 days they had certain things they would do. And yet they were subjected to this routine 100 days scrutiny. I believe the John Mahama administration, or if you like, their manifesto which they took to election 2012, did not do what the 2008 election manifesto did. But it's still legitimate since we've accepted this whole convention. And my brother Inusa was making some sweeping statements about what Kufuor did and did not do. I don't recall a government ban on public discourse or free speach. I don't recall.
He had expressed a desire not to have that and compare that elsewhere.
I said I don't recall a ban instituted by government.
That is correct.
Indeed, what I recall that government doing instead was to initiate steps to expand the frontiers of free speech.
In the first 100 days?
Straight away, they started doing all those things. In fact, the first presidential encounter of the media occurred within that context. Okay, the steps Parliament took through government to repeal the criminal libel law began from then and then terminated somewhere in July. One major policy decision that was taken by that government was the HIPIC. It was major, it was significant. It still has an impact on Ghana today. There were a few things, creation of the Ministry of Women and Children as a new initiative, the outlawing of political groupings within the armed forces and security agencies like the ACDRs and things. Certain significant things were taken within the first 100 days. But I'm not sure we're discussing Kufuor's 100 days or Professor Mills's 100 days. We are looking at John Mahama's 100 days. That's where the focus is. I admit you can do some comparative analysis, which Inusa was doing. I don't have a problem with that in principle. But really, if we look at the reality today, and I'm sure the president had conceded, the challenges, water, energy, the NHIS palaver, JIDA, Maputo report, the Andrew Solomon gaffe by our own colleague in the Ministry of Information, the Flagstaff House confusion, simple things as well as major things. Really, the first 100 days is not a time to assess the regime and give it any positive marks. I'll be honest with you. And I could see it in the submission Amaliba was making, to the extent that he thought it was premature to judge. You see, the difficulty the Mahama administration is facing is that he happens to be like a hybrid. He was from the Mills administration. He was a vice president. He became president in the last 6-7 months before the year terminated, and is now president. There's a certain hybrid feature that he has, and so it's difficult to actually even ask for honeymoon for the people. Those of us who understand the Constitution and can draw the fine lines of the extensions may be prepared to do those things. But for the people out there, they are not prepared. It's the same party, incidentally, that won the election as declared by the EC. The same vice president and president who went to the election as a candidate for that party is the one who is in charge today. So when you have a minister of state and finance come to parliament and present a budget, and in the process we find out that there is this huge fiscal deficit, when you are interrogating that issue, it's difficult to isolate this presidency from the sources or the genesis of that fiscal deficit. I mean, it's unrealistic, really. It is impracticable to do that. So, to be honest with you, I don't believe in rating. I never did it for I didn't do it for males. And I realize that President Mahama has also declined to grade himself. But the truth is that at this stage, if we are talking 100 days, I think that we've been confronted with challenges and serious problems, some of which I don't think have been effectively managed and handled. I wouldn't judge in 100 days. I would wait a while, 6 months, I would want to do a judgment. But if you asked me, you compelled me to say something about 100 days, I think it's been so challenging, not much has been produced.
It's been challenging and that not much has been produced. That is Abdul Malik Kweku Bako Jr. I'll go around again and then we'll seek to wrap up this very topic. But forgive me, but I have to go through quite a number of text messages and share them with you. There was some missing link in the transmission of the text messages, but I now have them. So let me share them with you. This one from Odu Midris from Bojuasi. He says, I am a graduate teacher with 5 years teaching experience in Fanti, and I can tell you the translation done by the local media networks is dangerous. They should get professionals for their transmission or stop it entirely. Tabiri from Amanting SHS says, I agree with Kweku that both party secretaries' comments, if not managed, can be detrimental to our national security, but they should be interviewed while the journalists ask intelligent questions to safeguard our security. Okay, so you want to leave the job to the journalists to task them to get the right answers from them, I see. Benjamin says, the court is not a propaganda place, and we thank God the justices have maintained the culture so far. But for those who do it out of the court to cheer their fans up, we should be extra careful. Baba Adam writes from Cape Coast, I think until the case of the Supreme Court is finalized, there will be a gargantuan negative effect on productivity as a result of the live telecast. I urge all parties to cooperate in order to ensure a speedy trial. Ernest in Taifa writes, technically, the petitioners are dribbling the respondents with their legal intricacies, and very soon, Nanado and NPP shall score a goal. This means the smoothness level of Dr. Bawumia was adorable, faultless, unblemished, and super authentic. I like that. Samuel Bryan Boabing Awoshi writes, propaganda mongers should spare our ears with their interpretations of the Supreme Court proceedings because we all watched and listened. Nicholas Aboseokai writes, Sir John and Esiedun Ketia speak for their parties on behalf of their supporters, NPP and NDC, and on political grounds. You don't think that's too good? Nuruddin Suleimana Savlugu writes, I sincerely support the call to blacklist the two general secretaries. Their comments sometimes can best be described as juvenile, infantile, and prejudicial. Okay, you chose your words in very harsh terms. Kwesi Ampofo at Siani writes, NPP are wasting their energy, time, and resources because they have no case. I pity Bawumia, the innocent, brilliant economist, to allow himself to be used to disgrace the whole NPP sympathizers. And this one from Yendi, you didn't identify yourself. You say, looking at the competence level of Dr. Bawumia in the witness box, I thought the other two petitioners would have been aware of the mastered the courage and to withstand the cross-examination from the respondent. I'll take this one from Ofori from Anomabo. He says, both the NDC and the NPP General Secretaries are not helping the public with their comments. You also believe that they should be stopped. A smart man knows what to say, but a wise man knows when to say it. It is in the interest of the NDC to zip the mouth of General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia. He judges. Okay, I can't get the rest of it. You say you are TK. Eddie sent this one from I wanna take in Tampo. I hope I got it right. It says that I love the two General Secretaries. They add fun and humor to an otherwise serious and sometimes boring legal banter. Rashida Nima writes, Samson, what Esiedu said is an insult to the JHS system. So he should withdraw and apologize to the JHS educational system. Sorry,
make it free.
Sorry, I'll take just about a couple more. And this one says, why was Tonelita asking the same questioning for good 5 hours and getting the same answers from Dr. Beamia, just facts and figures? The battle is indeed the Lord's. This is from Jesse Boakum in Mamprobi. The NPP election case is just much ado about nothing. They should stop being bad losers and let the spirit of patriotism be their guide. Me sent in that one. Okay, my production is telling me that I need to pause here on the text messages. And thank you very much for keeping your dials here on Joy 99.7 FM and on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and its environs. We are heard on over a dozen affiliate stations across the country, and you're watching us on your multi-TV Joy News channel. And this show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN Everywhere You Go, Star Assurance, your solid partner, Bank of Africa, and ASN Properties. They've got good stuff for you, so locate them. As I have announced to you earlier, they are opposite the Agrimat building, and get some very fantastic stuff for your housing, all your housing needs. I'll return to the Honorable Inusa Fuseini on this issue to attempt to wrap up on this particular topic of 100 days. Do you subscribe to the school of thought that the 100 days should not be used as a measure at all?
Well, I think that as a country we have to learn from democratic practices elsewhere. This 100 days is a U.S. invention, and under President Mills we incorporated it into our manifesto, and we sought to do things that could clearly give us a measure at the end of the 100 days. That has followed into the President Mahama's regime. I think it's useful. I think it serves as a guide that any person elected into office knows that he will assess his policies. The crystallization of his policies must start within the 100 days. I mean, the nature and manner of his administration must be perceptible to Ghanaians within the 100 days. So, for me, that is a good democratic practice that we have tried to emulate from the Americans. And I still stand by my position that these 100 days of President Mahama clearly has exhibited signs of a person or a president who knows exactly where he wants to send this country to a better place.
Gabi, restrict yourself to the 100 days philosophy. Should we continue to refer to it in trying to assess our, presidents?
Well, I think, it offers us some benchmark, if you like. So I'm not particularly...
There are presidents who clearly say, I'll do this within 100 days, like Professor Mills did. The president has not done so. Should we take him by that? Well, he
didn't say so, but I remember him saying that we're not going to have load shedding. Was it in the evening or so? And then I think the same day the PRO came to say that the president was wrong. So this was within his 100 days. He gave us a promise that the PRO of the ECG, I think it was. Was it VRA? The VRA PRO. Yeah.
You are the only one who heard it. Kwaku said it.
Oh, Kwaku heard it. No. Kwaku heard it. I can even...
So the president was wrong?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then who advised the president that the power of the report.
He did a clarification about that.
If he did a clarification about the time, that's a different thing.
Okay, so that really has been his 100 days. He will send his ministers somewhere, and then because of indecision, he reshuffles because he couldn't, So I'm not too sure. To me, there's lack of clarity. There's the focus. If the president is focused, then he's not focused on what he has to be focused on, and that's very clear.
I see.
And if he's having sleepless nights, he makes it even the more difficult because I'm not too sure how well one can perform without having a good sleep. And so these are the things. And there's too much form and no substance. There's too much. There's all these form, a lot of form. You see all these things happening, but there's one good thing though, I must say. I suppose it's good. He's shown some. He's added something liberal to our country. I mean, in terms of for good or bad. I mean, is it next week we have? Is it a German foreign minister coming? Are you aware?
No, I'm not aware about that.
Yeah, the German foreign minister is coming.
I'm not aware.
Oh, you're not aware.
Okay.
But anyway, whatever it is, there are difficulties with investors coming in. I'm not too sure why, but according to the minister, it's because of the court case.
He says you have visited an Armageddon on them.
I see.
Abraham.
I see.
They declared it at Medina.
Maybe
they declared it on the declaration.
When we have...
Is it a party or the
party
Alliance for Let My Vote
the party acted through the Alliance of Let My Vote Count. They declared it.
If the elections
they're going to
won,
embark on bombing and... Oh, you didn't hear it?
You are too good for that.
Oh, I heard it.
No, but they said that.
I heard it too.
No, I think clarity is important.
You didn't hear this?
Let him. Oh, I wasn't in town, but when I came, I've checked. That particular sound bite about the leadership should give them the chance, opportunity to throw bombs was not articulated by any of the AFAG or the organizers who did the thing. It was a gentleman who was part of the crowd and a radio reporter. Interviewed him and played it back. So you cannot do a direct attribution.
So how can you blame the organizers for it?
We're just being
But you can hold those.
Let's not take the discussion to that.
You may choose to do so, but let's be accurate first.
Which people assembled at Medina?
But you are a lawyer.
All right.
You know you
I know that. Which people assembled
Ghanaians.
The MPP guys who assembled
my brother, you are too good for that. This is mystery.
We have very limited time to do
something.
Yes.
The first 100 days has come to stay, and if you even wish to wash it away, it won't happen. So you have to live with it. And so for me, the first 100 days should be seen as 100 days of trying to fashion out what the vision of the president is. And if you do this, then you will see that some decisions he takes would point to the direction that he wants to send this country. National cohesion. Regional ministers reshuffled. Immediately they were appointed. Would immediately hit you as a president who wants to bring about unity.
Something he should have, with this ministerial thing, he should have done something like what Uhuru has announced. From 44 ministries to 18.
Well, for the numbers, we can talk about it, but you look at the reshuffling that was done, it needs a bold, not a timorous soul to be able to do that. Particularly when you have you've already assigned them. You needed to also be bold to bring them back and say, you go there, go there. It tells you a president who is in charge, who is in control, and who has vision. He has indicated that ministers who did well and performed creditably did not come from those regions that they didn't hail from those regions that they went to. And so clearly we are beginning to see a new form of leadership where, and I'm told that it's likely to happen to the DCs. They may not go out of the region, but they will not be within the same district that they come from. And so this is about national unity. Inusa has indicated that we are not seeing his ability to have held this country together in the face of those provocations. If it were to be in some countries, he would have let loose the security to deal with these recalcitrant people. But what did he do?
he ensured that nothing of that
Ken
happened.
Ofrata gives a lecture at British Council. He's now been invited by the CID.
But if you go out
you
there
go
and
give
use
a
the
lecture.
platform and talk about
yes, he's not even in this country. The CID are looking for him.
Look, if you go out there and make
because he went to give, he gave a lecture,
you'll be picked.
He exercises intellectual liberty.
You will make speeches, you'll be picked.
Be very
intellectual liberty.
Be very sincere with yourself.
And CID are looking for
that
him.
you have read.
And this is what you are talking about.
Entire statement, and you find him encouraging.
He exercises his intellectual liberty to give a lecture.
Do you find that any
CID are
line of
looking
the
for
statement?
You may not directly.
Let me take my very last.
Just a minute. You remember Jujo Tay?
Jujo, yes.
You remember her? You remember the phone in that she made in 2002 or so?
They picked her up.
That the way this country was going, if we didn't take care. You remember?
Abdul Malik, briefly on whether we should continue to assess our presidents on this. 2 minutes.
A man gives a lecture.
To do a recollection.
Yes.
But this country has been moving progressively forward. We've been deepening the democratic culture. Otherwise, we had days when you want to organize a demonstration, you couldn't. And when you did, people came to shoot at you. But we moved on.
Yeah, because there was no law that allowed you to demonstrate.
I'm talking even under constitutional rule.
Which one is that?
1993 to 1996.
Which one?
First of all, law that allowed you.
Which one?
Joint Action Committee. We organized an anti-killer budget demonstration.
And who shot at
January 15. No, I'm talking. I said either you don't do it, they beat at you, or they shoot. 1995, we were shot at.
Who
4
shot
people
you?
died.
Who
The
shot you?
ACDRs and the castle security shot at.
No,
That's a police report. Please.
That is your interpretation.
I said I didn't want.
No, that is your interpretation.
It is not.
No, but I thought that was a
I am talking of a police report.
There was shooting there.
Please.
But we're talking about government. He said government.
But I'm saying that what I was talking about is a notorious.
I am talking of a police report.
That people can invite you when you whisper into the ear of the person.
You see, I wanted to resist this temptation.
We are talking about government
what I am referring
action.
to is a police report.
We are talking about government
that
action.
said that those who came in the vehicle that did the shooting came from the castle security.
We are talking about government
documented.
Action.
This is Ghana police report. I am not speculating. I didn't want to go there because that's not the subject matter for today. But if I'm tempted, I will do so.
So take a minute and wrap up on.
I've just said that there's nothing to write home about in the 100 days, and it's even in the interest of government that we don't do an assessment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Abdul Malik Kubako Jr. This one says you don't identify yourself. He says the NPP is confused with their own allegations. Akoto Razak says that the ongoing petition of the Supreme Court is a clear indication that the NPP has no evidence. They are only brought foreign materials to deceive the court. I see. Wait and see what the court's pronouncement will be. This one, Edward from Sankore says, Samson, I read your opinion. Sorry, my opinion is not for this particular platform.
Yeah, I disagree with your opinion.
Oh, yeah, that's what we do as lawyers. Thank you very much. Thank you. Michael Manfe Ekwapim says, it is clear that several Ghanaians are interested in the disputed election case and are therefore spending an inordinate amount of time watching and listening to that case. However, there are other regular killers of productivity, such as long hours in traffic, problematic power network, inefficiencies in government institutions, corruption, ill-qualified functionaries, etc. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for your messages. This show has been brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN everywhere you go. Star Assurance. Star Assurance, your solid partner, Bank of Africa. I haven't told you I'm signing out. All right, but well, even before we get there, Gabi Asare Ochredako, the man who led that crusade for this particular live telecast of the Supreme Court's case, today is his birthday. How young are you? On behalf of Joy FM and our cherished listeners, we want to say happy birthday to you. And Sedemofori, please come in here with the package that you have for him. Really? Just to acknowledge that your contribution has been
why is he in
acknowledged
black?
immensely.
Why is he in black?
that...
My wife bought it for me, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
On your birthday, you wear black.
That is nice. That is nice. I want you to take your what is this that Saddam is coming, and then we'll continue. Okay. I want to acknowledge that the guests who have been on this show have been Kuku Baku Jr. He's the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Inus Husseini is a lawyer. He's also the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Gabi Asare Ochridako, the birthday man, is a lawyer and the executive director.
Did you just say boy?
Boy, yeah.
Boy,
I have grey hair, but I'm pretty young.
Yeah, don't worry, I have grey hair.
Young enough to have fun, old enough to know better.
Okay. Abraham Amaliba is a member of the NDC legal team that is currently in the Supreme Court battling the petition. The people who have been behind the show is produced always by the executive producer Sedem Ofori, with assistance from John Apia and Juliana York and also Mariam Toure as well in the last few days. The guys behind camera have been Aaron Na, Samuel Asante, Ernest Annan, and the director has been Yaya. A sound man has been Albert, and lights Isaac. Please let's bring in the Gabis for those of you who have the opportunity of the cameras.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So cut the cake. Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
On behalf of
Wow,
the
this
production team
is
of
amazing.
Newsfile
Okay.
and, Joy FM, we present this cake to you to celebrate you on this day of your birthday for your contribution towards our program and towards our country. Happy birthday to you.
Wonderful.
Happy
Do I have
birthday.
to share it with
Yes, you have to.
Are you sure?
Cut the cake. Cut the cake. Cut the cake.
They don't want to share it. Share it.
Thank you very much. This is amazing.
All right. Yeah. All right. On that note, I wanted to read just one or two more messages, and then we'll be out of this place. This one from Samuel Owusu. He says, "I think that the president's 100 days have been a disaster, full of labor unrest and inconsistencies." This one says, "Ghanaians have regretted voting Mahama and NDC into government. Mahama's 100 days in office have been horrible. I will give him 20%. And this says, if people reduce prices in the first 100 days of Kufuor, it means he won his election fairly and enjoyed the goodwill of the masses. It is the hardships and challenges of Mahama's vindication that he won unfairly and that he does not enjoy goodwill of the masses."
Just one more point. The impression was given that the judges didn't have the right to do what they did.
Which one is that?
No, nobody said that. Nobody said that.
No.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
What do you
Nobody
want to
said
say
that.
about that?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if you look at Section 69 of the Evidence Act, it says the court shall exercise reasonable control over the mode and order of interrogating witnesses and presenting evidence.
Yes, we said that. But
So,
that
but I'm
was
just
court.
saying.
But we said that. That was it's in court. Yeah, it's in court.
But it will happen in court. They've told you what to do in
That's what
court.
you said. So it will happen in court. So in court, they will have to raise this so counsel can go approach the bench.
So I'm just saying, so let's be fair
It's possible.
to
We said it
to the
here.
panel.
It's possible.
That's
Okay, thank you very much for that one. And as I announced here, this show is brought to you by MTN. And let me tell you some good news from MTN. It is new and it is convenient. Experience the smartest way to recharge your MTN internet account with the all-new MTN data voucher. The new MTN data voucher comes in 55 Ghana denomination and works with your data-enabled phones, tablets, modems, routers, and any other smart device. Just dial star 125 star followed by a 14-digit recharge pin, then hash and press send, or simply dial 125 and follow the prompts. Get yours today at any MTN outlet nationwide and enjoy an amazing 10% bonus on every recharge. So go on, cut the stress, experience the convenience, and explore your world of possibilities with MTN data voucher today. MTN everywhere you go. And on that note, my name is Samson Ladi Ayenini. I say thank you to my guest and thanks to the production for a wonderful job. Have a good afternoon. All right?